candles glitter like you're in a thriller. Heart goes pound, pound, pound. Ghostly figures, they can get so bitter. Sure you want to enter, you can turn back now. You don't know where I've been. What's going on inside? Where the monsters like to come alive, come alive. Do you really wanna know me? I'm really not that cozy. It's up to you, so you decide, you decide. Would you love me up my words till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd. I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you'll just check it out. A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. Broken windows and a warning scribbled on my wall saying that you better turn around. Wouldn't be the first to try to burn me down. Your move, you do. Would you love me up my words till the coffin's in the dirt? Try to break me like a curse, you know that will never work. I'm a little bit absurd. I like dancing on the verge. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion, but could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you'll just check it out. A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. Could you love a haunted, haunted house? Or could you love me now? A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. A haunted, haunted house. If you're just taking sides. A haunted, haunted. I'm a haunted house. My words till the coffin's in the third. Anyone can love a pretty little mansion.
Good evening, Club Cult. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday. I'm pulls out of purgatory and let go of my emotional support cord right now, apparently. I hope the day has been kind to everybody's. And hello, babies. I'm gonna get a little bit ready for tonight and booping with the babies for a little bit. And then we're gonna attempt to block off this so Zeke can't jump on it. I would think he would be smart enough not to if his paw is hurting, but we're just gonna attempt to block it off. I don't know how well that's going to work. We are going to try. Trying is the operative. And then some games. I'm thinking some Batman Lego tonight. I am excited. I am excited. Babies are kind of eepy tonight. They had their 12-week shots today. Daisy went in her little sweater. So pristine, so fancy. Welcome, Smoops. I hope the day has been kind to you. Lego honestly is not fun. I don't know how children do this. Like, building Legos, yes, is fun. Lego games, they are fun. But I'm bad at them. But it's still enjoyable to figure out. So I guess, yes, fun. But it honestly causes me as much stress as Doom. I feel just as stuck and dumb. Nothing changes there. Nothing changes whatsoever. I expected it to be a lot easier, and it's just not. Maybe I need to just adjust my expectations. Maybe that's the problem. It's not that the game is hard. My expectations are completely out of whack. Don't know how you got through the Lego Star Wars games on your DS. I don't know either, because that's small screen. That's lemon, difficult. How do you even see all of the pieces to pick up to build everything? Imagining Smoops with like a magnifying glass. Steampunk Harley, arguably yes. I have my steampunk goggles on, but we are bombshell Harley tonight. I was torn between 3 different Harleys, and this is the Harley we ended up with. I'm actually wearing my grandmother's boots that are my bombshell Harley boots. Thank you, Grandma. Let's see. Reference. I like references. References are good. They're good. This Harley. We did it. Mostly. I have the broken Lara sweater. I tried to find it earlier and I could not, and it was so right in the middle of everything, just plain Jane out in the open. But it took me about 20 minutes to find it because I'm a ding dong. And I got to the point where I was freaking out so hard because, you know, you need specifically a brown crappy sweater. Specifically. I almost posted in Discord because I last remembered seeing it when we organized cosplay in the closet on stream. And I was about to offer, like, I don't know, a handful of subs to anyone who could remember where they last saw it. And then I found it. Very close, though. Welcome, Cygenix. Arguably either or. I kind of have the wrong hair for it, but I'm not sold on the wig that I have that's like that. It makes me feel... This is what it makes me feel like. What was her name? What are all of her exes? I don't want to watch a video about it. The girl. The girl with the hair. Roxy? The Roxy character, yes. And I can't rock it like she does. I just can't. The goggles remind you of Tank Girl. Oh, they are very Tank Girly. Good eye. Our alternate solution was the Suicide Squad glasses, which look really big. Like, they're big in general, but, like, they make me feel like I have the smallest head in the world. I've not yet worn them for any of my cosplays because I just don't like them. I feel like her, though. Oh, I wasn't there yet. We're getting there. The girls with the hair. Yes, it all makes sense now. Well, like, it makes sense for her. She has a very particular hairstyle. I see the error in my ways. I will see myself out. Yeah, they are kind of aviatory. Maybe I've been trying to wear them wrong by putting them on my head. Maybe these are my new driving glasses. Oh, you have, like, no peripherals in these. No. They're big. Like, that's a lot of goggles on one head. My B team won today. Like, it looks proportionate on her. That's what I get for getting cheap cosplay things, because they're just not quite what they should be. I guarantee the wig and my goggles were way less than the $30 this is listed for just the goggles. You had a new sour grape Slurpee? Ooh, who's they? Is that like the guy version of the girl with the hair? The Place. The Place has a new sour grape Slurpee. I mean, yeah, her out to Nips. That's exciting. Very ambitious of me. I don't even know what they're ranked right now. Very ambitious of me to think, but it'd be cool to see Nips in the final. What are they ranked? What are the rankings? What are the rankings? Furia, Vitality, Falcons, Mouse, Mongols, Spirit, G2, Aurora, Navi, Pain, Astralis, 3D Max, Phase, or lucky number 13. 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven. That sounds good. I like sour grape. Legacy. Liquid, Heroic, Gamer Legion. Gentle Mates. I've never heard of the Gentle Mates, but that's very cute. Aw. Do I recognize any of the players? No. Jeez, where are my secondary boys? They're not ranked in the top 30, so they're not listed on the HLTV thing. So it'd be even cooler to see them in the final, but kind of doubtful. That's okay. How is my computer behaving? It's not. My computer is such a piss ass lately. I update it, she's happy, and then she's mad, and then there's nothing else to update. My computer is a woman. You do what she says she wants, and then she's still not happy. She's just happy for like 5 seconds. Dopamine rush. You mother trucker. Get your head on straight. Get your head on straight. Get your head on straight. Honestly, I think I need to look into a new antivirus because I think mine is running just extremely heavily and without my permission for whatever its bullshit is in the background. It's always running high and doing nothing, and it's annoying. It's annoying. If anyone uses anything free or cheap, send me a DM of what it is if you would recommend it. Because I think I'm looking for something new. I'm not happy with this one anymore. This runs too heavy. Ugh. It's not okay. It's not okay. I can't put up the baby cam yet until she learns how to breathe. Breathe, bitch. Also, I have my pile of sweaters like all behind. That's probably not good. It doesn't have room to breathe.
So what's the deal with it, man? I mean, their 5 is actually it's looking pretty good, right? But
I am the computer fan.
There was a moment there where I was like, okay, they grinded their way all the way back to be able to get to the major. That's pretty impressive considering.
I don't ever trust updates either, but my computer was running like it was gonna die instead of just like at the beginning stages of terminally ill, like it is now. Like it was in hospice before I did updates. Now it's just in like the discovery phase. But like, sheesh, calm down. Like, updates were good. I did need to do some driver updates that helped. But I strongly believe it is my antivirus. It's not okay. It's not okay. Is it better now? I know it used to be pointless, or like rather pointless, unless you had something incredibly obvious attacking. The Windows antivirus. Maybe I'll look into that one.
But again, you look at this team, and it's like they've got some
You go pretty bare bones for antivirus. No script browser extension. Pretty much stops everything. I should have to look into that as well. Because I'm not happy about this. I'm also not happy about my top situation right now. I need a new sticky broad. This one isn't sticky anymore. She's just floating. She's an astronaut. I strongly suspect that that's the issue, though. Anything that's heavy is running pretty decently. There's just a crap ton of antivirus running in the background, and it's like, you don't need to do this. And it's even running an updater service, and it doesn't let me close any. That's how I feel about that. It's Windows 10ish. It's been good enough. Nice. I don't think I've used the Windows antivirus built in since I lived like at home with my father, with Father TV. I shall have to give her a go. This is just getting excessively irritating. Calm down. We're down like 2 degrees. It's so fucking dumb. Yeah, that really is the issue, or I'm just scapegoating it right now. But I really feel like that's the issue. Okay, we're being ambitious with this tonight. Some sort of script blocker blocks all scripts from running, so no trackers, virus, adware can run unless you allow that domain I think that might definitely be worth looking into. If that plus Windows could just cover my ass everywhere, that'd be great. No, it's not McAfee. We used to use that all the time when I was younger. That was the one that my dad used because he got the software. He either got or took the software for free. Maybe it was free, I don't know. But we had that one for the longest time. I don't like Norton. I do like how the one I have works. I just don't like that it runs so process heavy in the background. It's unnecessary.
Triple here for Wrinkle as he finds each point of contact that FaZe have offered him.
So,
He hasn't missed a shot in those three.
No, that's not running. That might have congested it, but no. The old 5-finger discount, yeah. I find that interesting because my dad is like a man of honest integrity. Like, something gets rung up at the grocery store wrong, he points it out. You know, even if it's like a lower price. I don't know if that's just like IT. What's the word I'm looking for? If he felt like he deserved it for dealing with all the idiots or what. But I will say, I was very spoiled growing up in the way of, like, we always had new-ish computers. We always had laptops, etc. Because they would just get rid of them at his work. And then he would take them home, which I don't know if he was supposed to do that or not. But I don't know. I don't know.
When we talk about the equation for success in Ninjas in Pajamas now, we look to Wrinkle as this player who's got to have impact on and off. And if they can bring that
kind of want to ask.
Table,
But I don't want to make him feel weird about it.
It was Exotic who had more op kills than
That's another reason I kind of feel like it's pointless to ask. Because they're going to get rid of them anyway, exactly. I think nowadays a lot of machines are like leased versus just buying in bulk. Correct me if I'm wrong. It probably depends on the industry and like the size of the office building, etc. But they would just buy them outright then. It's not a big deal. They probably paid for the business license. So it didn't cost them more than just a few pennies. One more machine is really not much difference. I would assume not. Pennies to the dollar, literally. Couldn't do that nowadays. Everything is like a monthly or yearly subscription digitally. They're not just getting us with games, they're getting the old people with their antiviruses too. What a world this is. What has the world come to? The fact they did that with Adobe Creative Suite is really annoying too. I would imagine so. It looks like a cool program. When I updated my graphics card, it gave me a free month of it. I think that was the software. It was something Adobe. Editing stuff. But I wasn't willing to download the whole program just to learn something completely new to try for a month, even though that's a really cool offer. Is still the last retail version? Are you able to put it and run it, or do you have to use it on an older machine? I feel like that sounds like a silly question, but there's some editing stuff that my dad uses that he can only use on an older machine. And yes, one of them is Windows Movie Maker, but there's more than just Windows Movie Maker. I miss Windows Movie Maker. Those are my best editing days. That's when I was the most motivated to edit. It was just easy. Can still run it. Nice. Photoshop is what most people use. I wonder if my old Photoshop from like 2006, 2007, 2008, something like that would still run. It would probably still be good enough for the very simple editing that I do. I only do like color grading and minor retouching if necessary. If I want something heavily retouched, I'll just use a filter. It's like, damn, if we already want to make it not look like me, or like the best version of me, that's not me.
There are some teams right now on CT side that aren't playing.
There's hypothetically AI for that. I miss Windows Movie Maker so much. Those were the good old days.
They'll play from CT, they'll spam, they'll boost. They do
It was good times.
Play the spot that they're trying to
I didn't
fragment,
realize this would
and
do Fallout. I
think
think
that
this
we see
palette is
why
kind of old
that's a good
now.
idea. Here it's
Oops.
very face on into con trying to take these duels, but there's a lot of utility
Whoops.
from the T side that they can approach safely, and if they take short control, can really punish you for. So maybe
The
FaZe can shake it up a
Punishers.
little bit because it feels like the meta is moving away from it, and maybe they're getting unlucky.
You were
Maybe
sleepy
prove
this
us wrong,
morning.
but
This
for
feels
now,
slow.
2 rounds straight for Ninjas. They're gotta be feeling pretty good.
Or my coffee's kicking in and it feels slow. One of the two.
Exactly. Real confident. You know,
Windows Movie Maker left its mark on whatever you made it with.
but still a lot of space.
That's true.
Right timing. Surely that's a
It was an era. It was a time.
Everybody from NIP got real close to this bomb site with quite little resistance.
It was just so nice and simple.
They didn't let that chance
Well, that's like all I need is like dissolves and titles.
Third consecutive round, right? Off.
Like I'm pretty good about making sure I do everything right on camera. I just need to bloop out the portions where the dog barks, or I lose my balance, or whatever ridiculous moment.
Like, even if they're, FaZe are gonna play in con as well, like you should still be trying to.
Pibby used to bark all the time when I was filming,
Using, again,
because I would close the door and she didn't like that, and it was so annoying.
they haven't really been doing it. Oh my goodness.
I have to wait until after I got home from my niece and nephew until like quiet time hours, and she'd be sleepy, worn out from playing with the kids all day. That was so annoying then, but I miss that so much now. Gotta be Fallout proof over here.
It's so snappy, isn't it? To copy and paste something that's working. You can't give up these kills. I mean,
The shot from Wrinkle, Shush will catch frozen top connector, so things just going perfectly for NIP.
FaZe are looking a little bit silly right now.
Looking a little bit silly.
Realistically, everybody knows a
We
snap
look
call
silly
plays game
today.
plan. It can look obvious, but he can make it work because he just made it work the last round, the round before that.
There we go.
I mean, it's on FaZe to change up. And if they're gonna keep losing kills to an off that can roam,
Do some red. So annoying that I miss it so much now. Motherhood. Yeah, I think that is pretty on par with parenthood. It's very hard to be present and positive in the midst of chaos, though. And children are chaos. And sometimes so are puppies, and sometimes so are kitties. I think the worst part of that perspective is it takes a lot of times of saying goodbye before you actively remind yourself to make every moment count as much as it can.
Again, I feel like he's almost caught off by.
At least for me.
Coming in like he's walking up towards it. I gotta work a little bit harder this round. Oh wait, no, I feel he's just standing here with his back turned to me.
You're never ready for the
I'm a bit neurotic, admittedly, about the time that I spend with the zoo.
sometimes more out though.
And that's either from a place of knowing or trauma.
We've already seen
What's that song about? You don't know what you got till it's gone.
Twists looking for an angle over top. Isn't gonna find much. Shout out to our official Benny Parker. Snappy.
Well, this is more purple than I remember it being. That's
As he
okay.
steps closer, he's not alone.
That's okay.
Wrinkle back behind him. This is gonna be
Spotted.
a huge ass of Frozen with an Desert Eagle, and the fact that he goes down with nothing, and we've already got an IP on top of this bomb site. You'd think it was there for the taking. Broky's got the answer already.
I feel like that's definitely very true for motherhood. So annoying that I miss it so much now. I feel like for fatherhood, it's like, yes, I kept them alive. I did my duty. I did my good deed for life.
45 seconds, and hope that Nip don't
Now
fall
let's
back.
dance.
If Nip do decide to run this back towards B, now those pistols are pushed into a corner where they could still slow things
It's
down.
actually FaZe that wish they could rotate to help out because they've only got 2 guns here, but they almost feel, certain that it's going to be a side. You can't even respond to that one molly.
It's so pigmented. Takes so much less time than the other side. It's just so weird.
Behind, so the flank is on, the pressure's on, and Twist is going to collect the kill to Ujrix.
They could actually go back to B now if they want to.
Shush is the bomb carrier. He's got Wrinkle back towards connector, but
I feel like Twist is playing with like dilated pupils lately.
Shush pressured, but Snake finds Brokey, and that bank push
It's like
comes
there,
back
but
to
just
space,
not
wrote
quite
off their
there.
threat. And so, NIP just kinda
Not that
slammed
I could
their
do
head
any
in
better,
to
but
break through.
No, FaZe doesn't have much to work with there, but it's just looking really
Still.
messy. It's not looking very
Computer,
threatening.
you
These
mad?
They're losing too many players too easily.
Calm down!
I know that's just been a constant issue for them, but Yeah, Nip are probably pretty happy about the way things are going. That was tight
At least
spot.
it's happening on a Harley night, so I can justify every ridiculous face that I'm
They
making.
use the Antica towards A. Most of his game plan's gonna lean towards B.
It's quite vexing.
70-30 to one side. You know, when you find something that
We were
works
not
really
forewarned.
just make it so painful. Get that knife in and twist it. That's the snappy strat.
This evil pimple on my chin that just will not go away. And then I popped it too early. And now it's infected and angry and even bigger. And I'm dissatisfied at my life choices currently.
Yeah, there was definitely ways
In terms of that.
But they get through it, and I think
Everything
when
else,
faced
pretty
with
happy
those kinds
about.
of
In terms of that,
opportunities and you evade the upset,
oops.
then IPH is gonna laugh that one off and try to get back to what's been working. We'll see if they do continue to head towards B. See what kind of different space can offer up some pressure here. I think a welcome sight. We're talking about how can IPH
Under
get
pressure.
so close, we're so free.
Do 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 do.
They don't find any damage towards Khan.
Pressure.
University wants to really get to the bomb site. Isn't able to control it for the headshot onto Twists, but that broke you down. So
I really love the original,
his hands to Twist instead.
but I will say my favorite is the My Chemical Romance and the used cover of Under Pressure. Why am I thinking
They're considering this threat.
Panic at the Disco covered Under Pressure? Did they?
Actually have to get off this angle. It does come down to timing. Kerrigan's waiting for that like 50-second mark to go.
Is that a fever dream or was that real?
And they're actually making this over towards B. Kerrigan, they're gonna make him a non-factor. Oh no, they're flashing up A.
Twist eating those flashes in the process. Commitment comes through.
Makes you feel any better? The bright light is washing out, so you can probably never see it. I did put it up a little later today for that purpose. When we get on the go, it will be exposed.
They walk right into the crosshair, and Kerrigan gives us a FaZe Clan multi-frag.
That's just nasty out of Kerrigan. A beautiful 3K from him. Could have easily been traded right there, but definitely stood his ground. That was awesome to watch.
It was like a tiny little salute of sad. I need to...
All with one kill.
I wanted to do it just moving everything to the fringe, but that's going to be a little bit of a chunk of time. I need to refigure out my desk and lights configuration. Because whatever I did that I liked that I did with my camera, I want to change a little bit. But I also really want to change the fact that, yes, I'm washed out down here, but holy moly, we go up here and it's scary. I'm Casper the Friendly Ghost. I think they did cover it. You're not crazy this time. I feel like I remember hearing a cover by them on the radio at some point. It's pretty close to the original, how they did it. I feel like I remember being surprised by it. Not in a bad way. Pressure, pushing down on me. Down on... I don't actually really know the words. I need to stop. And it doesn't go first. Here's my other lippies. That's the balloon blower. Pressure. I gotta stop. It's gonna get stuck in everyone's head. Where's my other lippy? There should be
I
three.
don't want to mince my words. It's awful for base. The way that they're falling apart on the B side, you're just not. You're not going to see tier 1 teams do that.
I don't know. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow's desk cleaning
It's
day.
way too easy, and
We'll
I'd
find
give
it then.
Cole as much credit as possible, 'cause if he's finding
We'll
these
find
cases,
it then.
He's putting himself in, I want to say, obvious spots and obvious
Yeah.
timings. And I think he's probably even surprised at how
Uncle,
easy it is.
I
'Cause
give.
He'd probably sit there and wait 40 seconds. And
Calm
try to
down,
work a game
computer.
where they triple
I
mid,
think it'll calm down when we go on the go. If I just, if she's freaking out and I just make everything calm and then leave her alone for a while, usually it gets better.
You know, the fact that there's no
Should be
main
fine
punishes
when
on
we're
those
done
short
with the
timings, there's
BBs.
no volley punishes, there's no boost ups.
Just gotta like work out your chaos.
Many openings here to kill people who are playing it short. They're not capitalizing on any of them. This should not happen.
Right, they keep getting
once a half, maybe.
Sure. Whether it's that half wall or just playing behind this pillar.
Because you're a rifle, you know an op is there. It's the 5th time that he's been there. So it's fool me once in this spot. I mean,
Fool me 5 times, you're a dink.
6 times.
fool me 6 times, it's back on you.
Oh, 6 times, my bad. I can count. That was on the radio when I was driving home with the babies and mama today. The song Creep by Radiohead actually used part of another song, and later they had to pay a percentage of royalties to the original. Naughty! What was the original that they used it for? Not the whole song, but a bridge that they used. Sheesh! Is it the I'm a creep?
Lying down.
I feel like that's
gonna be an
very
invitation, but is it such an egregious
dramatic.
choice to set up Kerrigan? It was at least along that wall.
Or it was one of the instrumental portions.
Makes the most of an awkward situation.
Song is The Air That I Breathe by the Hollies.
I'm sure they knew that. I'll trade it
I'll have
in.
to look that one up later, because if they sued Radiohead for that,
No kill back for this push either.
I don't know what they'll do to little old me.
For that one, had a Molotov in his hand momentarily. It's a quick chance run back from Kerrigan again. 2 times now. He has just run away desperately, jumping away from these duels.
I mean, Boo Boo the Fool for them, but that's interesting.
To this B-site again, roaring their way through the setups. Kerrigan just trying to run for the hills, but NIP will not let him escape that long.
This is beyond painful to watch. I won't lie. I mean, it's again, nip, keep going, but wow. The second push off a short.
I mean, it sounds like an older band. They're probably dead. No offense. But
He's getting a multi with the off after the trade.
I don't take that risk. But that's really cool to know. Thank you for being full of fun facts, Smoops. Appreciate you. Apparently, the lead singer, Brendan Urie, sang Under Pressure with Jimmy Fallon and the Roots during the Panini with a teleconference recording. Wow, that's complicated.
Or is that one interrupts?
Jimmy Fallon does music? Like, performs? Oh, he's acted in some things. I liked him in Factory Girl. It's like a biopic about Edie Sedgwick, one of the more prominent members of the studio Andy Warhol had. I can't think of what it was right now. Studio 52? That doesn't sound right, though.
Into the head and smoke, Kaspersky just going for the monster play instead. You know, kind of sensing that this short push seems they went for it a round ago.
Radiohead admitted to the inspiration. It was handled very civilly. Aw, that's good on them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being inspired by someone else. You can't steal from them. But I'm glad it wasn't like a big music war. Oh my goodness. Can probably sing decently enough. And most people can, if they try.
Even if a bunch of players have pushed short, you can smoke them all with them off.
I'm proof of that.
Watch your flank afterwards, like they had Wrinkle doing on the short tunnel. So very solid anti-ego. Look, they just started to run away with this now.
Go Jimmy Fallon. I've always thought he's a big cutie. He's one of the few, like, younger celebrities, i.e. not an old man,
No luck involved, man.
that I think is a cutie patootie. I think it's mostly personality based, though.
Everything. I can't lie. I did not expect. I thought that FaZe would win this game. I thought that they would.
I feel like he'd be easy to get along with.
Definitely the
Funny.
opposite right now.
Video is really editing due to them recording remotely, so it might be doctored in some way.
Why not try it again? It's the last round
We'll
of
have to check it
half.
out.
You know, basically all half long. That if they had started Brokey here, he would have gone free frag.
I know this is wrong, but in my head I'm imagining it as a Tiny Desk concert.
One time twist when he had the solo M4, they started it down there. But in terms of actually peeling a player off of short control,
But I know I'm wrong. Otherwise you guys would have said Tiny Desk concert.
on setting up this kind of forward.
But that's how I'm visualizing it.
But again, he takes damage, right? If he's not getting picked off by ops, he's just taking nade damage. Good flashbang at least, but Shush already on.
Don't eyeliner your hair, Serena.
Brokey inside of the bathrooms is gonna go unnoticed.
There you go.
Shush does
Oh,
not
Brokey had to go
expect this
potty.
threat, but because it goes through,
And take a potty break. I take a potty break. What am I looking for here?
this threat, but because he goes through, now that he goes through, Brokey's got a
Like, my computer is just being weird.
coming in from the top of
Oh! Okay. I was having weird audio issues earlier. I didn't realize it played in a pop-up player. That's so weird. I paused you. Why would you restart yourself on a new page? Can you respect my ADHD, please? Under pressure! Brendan Urie. Oh, this is cute! Everyone has their own little Tiny Desk concert. It's 3x4, 12 Tiny Desk concerts. I think Jimmy Fallon is lip syncing. Is he playing on a toaster? Yes. And kitchen ingredients. Not judging, just observing. Oh no, Jimmy's doing the high notes. I've never heard of them. What style of music are they generally? Like rock subgenre? Like similar to this? Or do they do other kinds of music? At home instruments. Is that their spiel? Why can't we give love, give love, give love, give love, give love? I like how repetitive that is. They were the band for the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Oh, no way! I don't think I've ever paid attention to or had an idea of what any of the musical background effects people are. I know they pan over to them from time to time, but I'm an ignoramus. I don't pay attention to shit. This is our song. Under pressure. This is so enjoyable. They're so cute. What just fell? It just fell again. What is that? I found the heated blanket. I deconstructed Zeke's stuff, so he has like a soft pad behind me over here. That was so cute. And he had the heated blanket in his stuff. I found it. He stole it. He stole it. You're more of a soul band. Makes me wish I would have enjoyed them. I mean, there's not too many things of the Tonight Show that I've watched, just like little celebrity interview snippets, not in full. I wish I would have paid attention more. Finish mascara and we'll bop in with the B-Buzz. And I'll probably just put the rest of this on in the background. I'll pause it at half. Put the rest of this on in the background. When we're building in here, I don't know how this is gonna work, but the snap together panels, we're gonna try and put around everything over here. So hopefully we can keep Zeke from jumping up there. My vet has 0 appointments. I was too cocky last night. 0 appointments until Friday. I'm screaming. So the most I can do is just keep him from being overly mobile. Which he is still being a good boy and laying over in the spot, so I think he likes his little cozy zone. I'll need some emotional support Counter-Strike when building that. I don't know how, somewhere in my head I think it'll work. I just don't know how. Most of my DIY projects are like that. And then you either start it and it works, or it doesn't. And then you say, oh, okay, well, I gotta figure that out a different way. So that is what we shall do. You wouldn't like a cozy zone? No, Club Colts, the cozy zone is for rent. It's literally just a mattress pad and a yoga mat on the floor. Cozy zone for rent. Oh my goodness. I think all kids do this, but I used to love making nests when I was little, like just stacking up blankets all around. And I saw the coolest way to do it on a reel or something of the sort, either Instagram or Twitter, but it was long form, short form. So like a 3-minute video versus like 10 seconds. There we go. And you almost do it kind of like a swimming pool where like you have a blanket out and then you stack pillows around the side and then you like layer in the pillows, so it's kind of like a pie crust, sort of. And then you put more layers of blankets, and then a little bit more blankets layered around the side, and then you have like a swimming tube floaty of comfort, but not for swimming, of just blankets, and it's beautiful. I wish I could describe this as well as I've seen it. I'm terrible at describing things. I do not get the mental image across whatsoever. Maybe I can find something similar. Probably not. No. 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 We're gonna have to build it one day so I can just describe it to you guys that way. How's that? We'll just build it one day. Blanket fort stream incoming. Imminently. Oh, I gotta change the Harley Biddy. Oops. I can't find it. But it looked so wonderful. Something that I wish I had known about when my niece and nephew were little. Of an alternative way to put it together. Because it would have been so comfy cozy. I had you a pie. I don't know how else to describe, like, tucking it in that way. I don't know. A couple years ago, we did a blanket fort stream for Voya's birthday. And that was cute. But I had his tent in here for that. You guys do not know how tempted I was. So, Diesel's leg is owie right now, which is kind of what stopped me from doing it. But, you know the plastic outdoor kids furniture that we grew up with, like the little tiny plastic slide or like the little tiny plastic spaceship or whatever those are, them Fisher Price bitches. The true 90s and early 2000s kids outdoor playthings. Someone was getting rid of them on the side of the road earlier today when I drove by to take mom and the babies to their appointment, and I wanted to scoop them up on the way home so bad, but I re-justified it to myself that, like, we can't use it for the time being, and it's kind of, like, redneckian and ridiculous to keep in my backyard all summer. But I want to try putting something like that in the yard. I think Diesel would like that. Not like the slide part per se, a slide for the zoo, but something similar to those little playhouses to where they could use it for like an agility thing. You did, Smoops? I'm so jealous. Wait, was it the Flintstones one that's like yellow and red and you move it with your feet? Not like Flintstones exactly, but like you just, you drive it by walking under it? Or a cooler one. I had the Flintstones one. The Flintstones, not Flintstones. Little Tykes. So not Fisher Price, I guess. Oh, those are cool. This one. Wait, no, that doesn't look like it puts your feet under it. This one. That one. Probably have a picture of me as a baby looking almost exactly like that, but with slightly darker hair. I feel like Diesel would love something like that, and I've been thinking about it on and off, and I feel like I manifested it, but today was just not the day for it. Maybe I'll look and see. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Maybe I'll look and see tomorrow. Oops. If it's still out there, then I'll swoop it up. Maybe. Maybe. Had a handle in the back to be pushed. That's neat. Oh, Smoops, we had twin cars. Almost, but yours had a handle. I had to power my own car with my own feet. That's so nifty. I wonder if that was an optional thing, though, and parents either put the handle on or didn't. And maybe my grandma just thought I didn't need the handle. I had one of these in my grandma's, and then I had a big wheel trike at my dad's house. That was fun. My godparents lived in an apartment, so don't do bikes there. I had my roller skates there. It was such a cute little thing. I miss those. My car breaks down, I'm gonna get one of those. Just kidding. Alright, let's get the babies all taken care of. You're older than you should have been using it. You would run it down hills. Destroy! Destroy what once brought you joy! Smoobs, that's very naughty. It's very naughty. But, you know, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. You guys are silly. Silly, silly. Did that with a wagon. It was great fun. I never had a wagon. I feel like I missed out on that part of childhood. But I was also one child. I feel like wagons are like a multi-child having experience. You only need a wagon if there's like more than at least two of them, if not just more than one of them. Both mean the same thing. I don't know what my brain is thinking tonight. It was a walking contradiction. Oh my goodness. Though I do feel like, I'm remembering now, maybe my godparents had one, or we just rented one when we went to Brookfield Zoo. Because we would go to Brookfield Zoo every winter time. They do beautiful, beautiful lights there. If life and time allows for it, I would love to go to Brookfield Zoo around Christmas time and bring you guys with me, because it's gorgeous how they have everything set up there. It's one of my favorite Christmas setups everywhere. Plus all of the animals. You can go see the lions and the monkeys and all the buddies. Go in the bat house where it smells like poop. That always bothered me when I was a kid. Now I'm just desensitized. You pop this over here. Where did my dock go? There it is. There it is. Boop. 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 And a tank test on either side. I would love to be able to share that with you guys, though. It's so pretty. That was one of my favorite memories when I was younger. I don't know how expensive it is to go to the zoo anymore. My godmother's sister always had a pass, so we would go off of hers. Oh, that's not bad. Tickets $29.95 for adults. Should I bring the kittens? Zoo admission is free for children 2 and under. Oh, they do it separately now, so they have like extra magical nights. They just used to have hot cocoa and decorations when I was a kid. So there's tickets for regular days or the holiday magic tickets. Join us at our spectacular seasonal celebration running on select nights November 21st through January 4th. What is holiday magic? Select areas of the zoo. What's special about it? Oh. It has a giant light up maze. I'm so bad at mazes. I'm bad at them when I have a helper. More light tunnels and twinkling star walkthrough experience. The new holiday dolphin discovery show. Unforgettable visit with Santa. Seasonal treats and beverages. Shopping at the holiday market. And so much more. I mean, it's decorated everywhere, not just for this part. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would we want to do the full experience? A giant light-up maze and interactive displays and light-up tunnels and twinkling star walkthrough experience and a holiday discovery dolphin show? I don't know what the hell that is. Unforgettable visits with Santa? Or just a regular decoration and go see the animals. That doesn't really tell me anything. But I already know what the dolphin shows are. I don't know. I guess I thought the dolphins would be wearing Santa hats or something. Not actually, but I was trying to figure it out. Oh my goodness. A gravity go-kart thing. You remember being entirely of nails? What? What is a gravity go-kart? I wonder if all zoos do that. I wonder if the Lincoln Park Zoo does a... I like the Lincoln Park Zoo a lot. I wonder if they do a holiday thing. But I love going to them in the summer because they have paddle boats, and I love paddle boats. Or pedal boats, whatever the fuck you call them. I wonder if it would be, probably not, but I wonder if it would be as magical as when I was a kid during a Brookfield Zoo. I think one of the most magical parts of it was, though, that we did like an animal, maybe it's on here, an animal sponsorship thing that was my Christmas and birthday gift. So I would get a plushie and then a little like adoption certificate that said like you're caring for this animal, etc. And maybe that was the exciting part, is that I got a stuffed animal. I don't know. Ah, that's how I open the sidebar menus. Okay. That's not what I wanted. You have a silly menu. Adopt an animal. Oh, that hasn't changed though. I have one of these. The Amber Leopard cubs. There must have been cubs born a good odd 20 years ago too, but choose your animal, choose the adoption level, finalize your package. I had a dolphin one year too. We did a zebra one year. Could adopt a leopard. It's the adoption package. Caregiver, I think, was with the plushie. Partner. It's not changing what's included. Whatever, it still exists. That's exciting. Lincoln Park Zoo does have lights. Ooh, that would be a brand new experience. That'd be cute. That's a lot of available questions. Oh, they have like specifically themed nights. But it looks like there's random decorations all over. Fixed date, flexible admission, free admission Monday. Free admission Mondays? I can sacrifice Monday. Oh, I was looking at the training schedule too, and there's one of the beginner classes that I would want to do with Mr. Ringo that starts on Wednesdays. Either at the end of December or the start of January. I don't remember now. But I think I am going to ask about that. I need to return the 2 sweaters that were not meant to fit Daisy, and then I will ask if my 11-month-old 100-pound puppy is allowed at the beginner class. Oh my god. I don't know, Pretty Lights and Aminals, like, we're basically in the stream room, just a larger version. It makes me happy. A gravity go-kart is just wheels and steering. Oh! I overthought that. Take it to the top of the hill and ride it down. Brakes optional. Oh my goodness. Those are neat. The neighbor kid had those. But we just had, you know, a little driveway to take it down. And then by the time... Our driveways were, like, across from each other. So you go down theirs, and then you stop in, like, the middle of the road. And then you go down mine, or my dad's, and then you stop in the middle of the road. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just thought it was a no-motor go-kart. I didn't know there was a fancy name for it. Gotta get Lincoln Park to play Lincoln Park Zoo. In the end, it does matter. It does really matter. That would be funny. Before I knew Lincoln Park Zoo was a real place, my dad's not big on, like, doing outings in general. He's very, not like, he's not a bah humbug. He's just very a homebody. So most of the fun things I did either with my godmother when I was younger, my godparents, or we would do when he would have girlfriends, because you got to dress to impress, right? You got to play the part. And that was the first time we went to the Lincoln Park Zoo. This is just causing problems. I need to fix this. We're not sticking. We're not staying stuck. It's more annoying than it is helpful. Okay. That's better. That's better. I didn't even know Lincoln Park Zoo was a place until I was like 12, 13, 14, somewhere around there. And it's like close. Although to be fair, it is less popular than Brookfield. It's a smaller zoo. I do like how they run things more at Lincoln Park Zoo. It seems like on a smaller scale, they do a lot more than what Brookfield Zoo does on a bigger scale. But they're more into like a rescue and conservation, versus Brookfield Zoo is big on like their breeding program and helping endangered animals. They have the reindeer there around Christmas. We could see the reindeer. And they have the wolves are much more active around Christmas time too, if I remember correctly. The wolves there are cool. I like wolves. Tank test. That's why I fell in love with Zeke, kind of. Still mildly regret not naming Ringo Wolfie. But that's okay. Ringo is a Ringo. Tank tested. Nothing worked. Nothing works tonight. I love my life. What the shit, my dude? You banana-headed goofy goober. Let me try that one more time. I might have tried typing into somehow the chat of a prior stream. I don't even know how that happens. Tank test. Okay. Tank test. Okay, we're good. We're good. It does seem too serious for him. He just reminds me so much, a little bit visually, but more his demeanor. He reminds me of a dog that my dad's neighbors had when I was younger, and he was Wolfie. He was a shepherd mix. So it really did not look too much like Ringo, but he was on the darker side. Had mostly dark points and like a little bit of lighter tan, but mostly all dark fur. And they had like the same setting of eyes. I don't know how to explain that, but they had the same setting of eyes. I was calling him Wolfie a lot before he had a name. Wolfie. Wolfie, Wolfie. I wonder if Wolfie actually had some wolf in him. He was a big dog, but I was also a little kid. Anything outside of a Chihuahua is large when you are tiny. Okay. Beebas! Hi, Voya. He's looking at me so sus. Like, you're about to take my cat tree away? Ideally, I would just move them out of the room, but there's nowhere to shove them. That's annoying. If the panels don't work, though, I'll just shove them into the dog room for a few days. Like shepherds, I wish they didn't have as many hip problems as they do. I know. It's all bad breeding. Breeding for poor conformation for so many years. Because that's the show and breed standard now, which is fucking dumb. If you look at the difference between a working dog shepherd and a show pedigree shepherd, you can see the hip dysplasia. Like, you can see it. You don't even have to do a DNA test. You can see the genetics. The legs are dropped a little, but like the dog is waiting and ready. Versus like forced into this show stance. The dog is stepping, but still. Here, this is a better example. Hip dysplasia. It's terrible. There are so many grapes that I have with breeding, but with German Shepherds is one of the biggest ones that I have because it's just fucking sad. German Shepherds and Pugs, I feel like, and Pibbles, but Pibbles more in the overpopulation sense. In the health sense, Shepherds and Pugs have gotten the worst of it, and it makes me feel terrible. It's just, it sucks. And there's so few reputable breeders anymore unless you go out of the country. It's just, it always amazes. I know the difference, like, memorized into my head, but it still baffles me every time I look it up, and it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? But no, that's what looks nice for show. That's good stance. But your dog is fucking walking around like it's not natural. Hurts my damn hips. God. Fucking idiots. Napoleon Dynamite has entered the chat. Extra expletively. Napoleon Dynamite has entered the chat. Zeke, you're uppy. How you doing, little friend? I'm gonna lose audio for a sec. Woo! Then get it back. Hi, Zeke. We can actually see you. Look at that. I'm proud of you. Let the poor guys breed, indeed. It's sad. I mean, there are short-nosed breeds, like the Pekingese, for instance. And they're a little bit snorty, but it's nowhere near as bad as the Pugs. Pugs are so overbred. You're so beautiful. Did Voya make a mess? Yes. Yes, he did. In a nutshell, spay and neuter your pets. Support your local rescue. Support your local animal control. Don't support backyard breeders, or even worse, pedigreed breeders that their papers are fake, aka Kitten. Don't do it. Don't do it. He is worse, Limpy. And my vet doesn't have any time until Friday because it's the holidays. And what do people do at the holidays? They say, oh no, the dog looks terrible. Hasn't been to the vet in forever. Needs to make sure it's up to date on its shots in case it bites grandma before Thanksgiving. It's always full. And then after Thanksgiving, it'll be full. So thankfully, I have appointment slots for him and Diesel on Friday. But it's going to be very busy on Friday because God knows what any of the animals are going to eat on Thursday. Doc's going to have a lot of stomach cases. Yeah, I got to get the dog looking healthy for Thanksgiving. Well, there, like when I was grooming, there was specifically clients that we would have in a separate file box of only comes in once a year. And it would be either for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Because the Thanksgiving haircut mostly lasts through Christmas. But then sometimes they would forget and come closer to Christmas because someone, I'm sure at Thanksgiving, would say, you know, your dog looks kind of stinky. But then it's so much work. Like, I swear some groomers are scammy, but there really is a benefit to if your dog needs regular grooming. Cough, cough. Baby. To keeping up with it regularly. Because otherwise it's so much work to do later on for the groomer, and then you end up getting charged more. Like what could be a $20 bath every 2-3 months throughout the year ends up being like a $200 grooming job around Christmas. I can't do the math of that right now because I don't have brain cells. But it's got to be close, if not better, to be regular about it. Gotta be. Or a lot of people bored around the holidays and then they go, oh fuck, they don't have their Bordetella shot or their rabies up to date, which is pointless to get the kennel cough shot, the Bordetella shot, right before boarding, unless you do it like a month beforehand or at least a few weeks beforehand because it doesn't have time to kick in. It's kind of like going to a convention and then taking emergency the morning of, like it will not stop you from getting sick. People are dumb. That's why we like cats. Hi! Hello? 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 Mom was so mad at me for putting her in a carrier today. And then when I got her home and took her out, she came out right up to me and she was like so happy to see me. She was so relieved. She's like, oh my god, my person is back for me. This is the lesser of two evils. It made my day. Babies are feeling a little lethargic from their shots. Daisy's little grandpa in a sweater over there. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. We gotta do your medicine, sweet pea. We gotta do your medicine. We do. I know. Am I wearing grandma boots? Grandma would have loved you. You want to smell? I rarely wear these. They're not stinky. You want to smell grandma smells? Grandma would have said, oh, what a pretty kitty. Yes. What a pretty kitty. What a pretty kitty. Grandpa would say, that's a nice cat right there. That's a nice cat right there. Where is... Why do you guys keep putting this in front of here? Oh, sorry, Steph. A little nibbler. Thought you were stripes for a second. I just gotta move that a little bit out of the way. A little bit out of the way. Daisy's so sleepy. Daisy May. Mary Moo Cow. Hi. Hello, Sleepy. Hello, Sleepy. Aww. Daisy's been snuggling with me. And I need to find a better outlet to put my phone because when we're snuggling, my phone charger only goes to here. And we're snuggling over here. And she lays in like the crook of my arm, or she laid in my chest earlier. That was cute. It was very sweet and wholesome. We took a little nap today. But I can't, when I'm holding her here, I'm going to disturb her. Like if I'm over here, I'm going to disturb her if I reach over for the phone here. And I haven't been able to take a picture of it yet. I have it on camera, but that doesn't really count. She's been so snuggly though. And Stripes and Nibbler are just independent queens. Independent bitches. We love that for them. I need to get more paper plates. Tomorrow I need to make a grocery list because I need Ringo rice. Tomorrow I need to do 1,000 million Serena things. 1,000 million precisely. That is the exact number on... Oh, I need your shringies. The exact number of things on my list. Alright, I think you kids only have one more day of this after this. I think, yeah, because you have 2 probiotics left and we're going to put 1 in tonight. Blurp, 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 blurp. Don't want to use an extension cord, aka power snake. You think the beavs might chew on it? There is a power cord, like extension cord, but it's over on that side. So that is what my phone is plugged into. But I'm just too lazy to move the dresser to unplug something over here. It's pure laziness. Prioritization. I think actually I can probably unplug the space heater now. The lamp and the space heater are plugged in over there because I wanted the space heater plugged into a wall, not a power cord. Plug in, plug in. It says on the instructions it's not safe to plug into a power cord, so I listen. Or power strip. Words, Serena. Words. Words. I almost did Nurse Harley tonight. But unfortunately, my nurse costume, despite being from an adult store, is less adult than I'd like it to be, and it just looked weird. I didn't like it. I gotta find a way to zazz it up a little bit. I've never liked that outfit. I've had it for so many years and I've never liked it. I need to edit it and zazz it up. Because I put it on and it really does like cover everything. Like it is similar to a full medical coat. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it's my size or the design of it or what. But it was not what I wanted. And also the hair for Nurse Harley was the same wig that I wore yesterday. And you can't be Lizzie McGuire, that wig repeater. Alright, let's see how Mom feels about this one. Correct, plug the space heater into a wall. That's too much draw for a cord. That's what I figured. Better safe than sorry. Yeah, we don't want to burn the house down. I didn't start the fire. That was the furnace, and we're not repeating that experience. I didn't start the fire. It was the furnace. It was not my fault. Yummy! No, that's for Mama. Are you a princess? You gonna lay down with your princess next? There you go. No, that's for Mommies. Respect. It's a matter of respect. I see you, Sneaky. I see your devilish ways. No, I don't know why I brought garbage with. Nope. Daisy, you're sleepy. Nope. You're climbing on your mother while she's eating. That's not nice. Do you think that's enough? Trick you into the rest. Oh, that's smart. Why didn't I think of that before? She knows it's good when it comes out of the tube. Yummy. You know how they make like refillable or like DIY popsicle things? You should make refillable squeezy things for kitties. I wonder if they just have refillable, like push pop, or not push pop, freeze pops, ice pops, otter pops, whatever anyone from any region calls them. I've learned in my years of the internet that everyone calls them something differently. I call them freeze pops. That's what I grew up with. But I think the brand is like Otter Pops or something like that. Pastry bags. Oh, that would be. You were onto something there. It's smart. Now you just got to convince Temptations to make like a ketchup squeeze bottle. Because that would be so much better. Alright, there's for Mama. We gotta do for the babies. Have your moments. Well, that was gold, Jerry. It was gold. It was gold. What are you doing? Oh, I left their plates out from earlier. Damn, I'm slacking today. It's a tired day. I barely slept. I woke up early, called the vet. It's no time at the vet. I got stuck up early. Did laundry. Did a whole bunch of stuff around the house. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And now we're here and I'm tired, girl. How long did I nap earlier, though? I feel like I did a good nap. 3 hours and 8 minutes. So it's not bad. I got like 5 hours of sleep today. Could be worse. Can function on like 5 hours and pretty much do okay. Definitely do what needs to get done. If I want to have brain cells, I need at least 6 total. Where'd my biscuits go? You're eating. I don't want to disturb you. Where's your other daughter? Here she is. Haha, I found her. I found her. Stripes. Stripes, I gotta ruin your life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, you got a whole heck of hair on you. Here we go. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, mommy. It's okay, mommy. I know, yucky. I know, yucky. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, zoom. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. You usually do the makeshift pastry bag. The cutting corner off a Ziploc bag, same. It's just easier that way. It's cheaper, it still gets the point across. Works just fine. Mommy. Come here, Nibs. Nibbler, nibbler, nibbler. Nibbler, nibbler, nibbler. Nibbler, nibbler, nibbler. Nibbler knows when it's medicine time. Nibbler don't like that. Nibbler don't like that. No, she don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ow. Okay, I deserve that. Little Kimpton nails. Miss Daisy. You gotta get some Metro too, my sleepy little grandpa in a sweater. She's just a little old person. I love that for her. There you go. Captain, want to go back on that? Daisy! I didn't look at your neck after your visit. You haven't been able to scratch it. Okay. I know, Sleepy. I'm sorry to wake you up for gross. I'm sorry. She's looking at me like, you've betrayed. You've betrayed me. Hold on. Floof. There we go. Ready? I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, you did it. You're strong. You're brave. You're tough. You did it. You did it. I'm proud of you. I know that's yucky. I know that's yucky. I'm sorry. I know it's yucky. I'm sorry. I know it's yucky. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Got through the worst of it. Now let's get some food. Let's get some food. Let's get some food. Trash these. I'm gonna grab a can for them and rinse out their little shringies. Shringies. Mama Bear, do you need eye drops too? I think so. Mom, you're a little squinty. I don't know why her eye kind of flares up like that. My vet, his second suspicion was if a kitten didn't scratch it, then she was probably born with a little bit too much of her third eyelid. And it's coming out and relaxing, but also kind of irritating her. So it sounds gross. I don't know. Mind your stomachs, but it might need to be trimmed a little bit. And keep monitoring her with it and giving her a little bit of drops. But it's not infected or like ouch, like serious ouch by any means. I don't know. Hi, baby girl. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know. You went through it today. Don't worry. There are very few occasions where I'm going to take you to the vet at 11:08 p.m. Welcome, Bumble. Hope you're having a lovely night so far. Welcome. Let's make you some munchies. Munchies! Munchie time! Do the munch. We do the munchy munch. We do the munch. The munchy munch. We do the munch. The munchy munch. Oh, I forgot to take my meds. A blarg. In case anyone is ever wondering what my day consists of all day long, it's this. I'm here. I'm doing this. Oh, yeah, I need to do that. Okay, I'm back here doing this. Oh, I need to do that. Oh, I'm back here doing this. I need to do that. It's interesting. Hello, Mr. Chauncey. Chauncey's creeping again. Oh no. Oh wait, I've protected your innocence. Kind of. A little stripes tail in the box. It's a stripes in a box. I feel like one of those little play yard sets these guys would love so much too. In the room where Charlie's grandbabies were, my neighbors, they used the grandkids room to have the kittens in and like keep mom in there and like keep them safe and separate and let them grow up and get healthy and all of that. But there's a bunch of kids' toys in there. So they were playing with like the different farm animal sound things and over little things. That's my inspiration for it. I see how other people do great things and I want to figure out how to do the same. The grand kittens. I'll have to send a Christmas picture of Charlie and get a little update on the girls. See how everybody's doing. It's still so wild to me that Charlie had 3 girls and Boyd had 3 girls. It's the 3 girls club. Charlie is no longer interested in stealing the babies at all. She's only interested in stealing their food. Her and Stripes got into a hissing match at the bottom of the door the other day while I was getting their food prepared. Alrighty then, gal. Alrighty then, girl. The cow goes, meow. Welcome, Joker's favor. Welcome. Welcome. Yummies. The cow goes, meow. Daisy. Food. 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 Hey, Nibbler, I'm not going to tell you 8 times. Food. There you go. Miss Daisy. Daisy looks like she had too much of an edible or something. She's just like, food? Where? I don't see any over here. Here, you too. There's multiple plates. Do you want to eat on the couch? Do you want to be spoiled? Do you want to be spoiled? She might not have too much of an appetite. They always get kind of lethargic after their shots. Charlie full of all the big feels. Charlie cannot feel small feels, just like Diesel. Oop. Diesel cannot go slow. Are you not interested, Mama? Say, I'm sleepy. I got shots today. Aww. Daisy needs to be airlifted, such a princess. I usually have been airlifting her, but I'm just gonna try and meet her where she's at right now. You need some food? Maybe she doesn't want it because it's not her usual spot. Is this weird? Okay, so she's only 50% princess. Because now she's munching. Had to be in the usual spot. Cats are so weird. Why are cats so weird? I don't understand. She just had princess privilege, and she was like, nah, that's not for me. That's not for me, bro. It's not for me. I'm very proud of you. That's good girl eats. She's eating a little. She's not like too excited about it. But that's okay. She's doing better in the sweater, but I think she still feels kind of limited by it. Like, imagine if we were wearing like a weighted blanket all day long. Like, the sweater weighs like nothing, but it probably feels like a similar feel to her. Hi, your sisters are stealing your food. They're stealing your food. Oh no. You guys really didn't eat any of your kibble earlier, too. Kibble doesn't need to be filled. That's an excellent point. Or is it 150% princess? Because she'll only eat in her eating spot. You know what? I think I'm going to have to change my tune and agree with that. She's also a proper lady, and she's letting Stripes. I have to look at their tail to be able to tell. She's letting Stripes eat her food. She's just sitting there. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Daisy! You gotta perk up, mama. Because if I'm gonna build this for the boys, I gotta sleep in with them tonight so they don't do stupid shit in case they want to do stupid shit, because that's what your kind does. Your cats, you do stupid shit, and I love you for it anyway. And the twins are on their merry way. They're herefore known as the twins. They have their own little trouble duo instead of trio now. Daisy, when you were first born, it's not that I didn't like you, but I didn't respect that you hogged the nipple and fought your siblings for the nipple. It's not that I didn't like you, but you weren't the favorite. Not that I play favorites. And how these two are so independent, and Daisy's like my little baby golden child. How the times change. Oh, I never disliked her, but it upset me so much that she was so greedy over boobies. She's so greedy. She would push the others out of the way. She would fight them. She'd be mean to everybody. And now she's the little princess. It's a noble goal to fight for the nipple, right? I mean, she won, like, every time. 100% success rate. She was also always the biggest, though. That helps. It's the grandpa sweater and your grandpa affinity. It might be. You're sitting in the plate to eat the dry food, honey. You're gonna have wet food on your ass. Thankfully you don't. But that's gonna look like poop if you did, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Oh my goodness. It's the connection of the grandpa sweater. I think that's definitely it. Let's mix in your probiotic, and then your beads are all good for the evening until night time. Ah, right away, probiotic. Run away. Run away. She was just so adamant about eating everything. And mom has like, what? 3 sets or 4 sets of nipples? How many boobs do you have? Hi. Can I see your belly? Three sets? So she had like 3 times the capacity, or twice the capacity of what they needed. And Daisy still fought. She still got at him. A bit of a personal question. I mean, how do you think Void feels? I just went over and ran my finger over her. I just touched the titties. I was pretty sure it was 3 sets, but I couldn't remember for sure. No, I don't spend all my time in life staring at cat nipples, despite what you guys might think. But I couldn't remember from watching her nurse if there was 6 or 8. There, all good and smushied up for before bed. Titillated, yes. I was titillated by the learning process. And she was tit violated. I'm gonna throw these out and put this in the fridge, and then we'll smooch on Mom for a few. And then build some stuff for Zeke. Aw! I think Stripes is grooming Mom. I don't think she's grooming herself. She's giving Mom a bath. Aw, what a good baby girl. What a good baby girl. Oh my goodness. Hi, baby girl. That's all better. That's all better. Are any of the Beebs still nursing? Technically they all are. I mean, they're all on wet food and dry food, so solids. But if they want to and they're snuggling up, they will. Just because if it's there, why not, you know? It's a baby. So there's a lot that I'd like to say. But for the time being, I will only say a few things. One, I don't think they should still be nursing. I think Mom should be on the space schedule. I don't have any word on that yet. And Mom also still doesn't have her rabies shot or any of her vaccines. Even with all of these appointments, I'm a little bothered by that. And I learned today that their intake still isn't done. So I'm a little bothered by that. So that's the long answer to are they still nursing? The short answer is yes, if they want to. But I don't know if it's, you know how like when kids like suck their thumb for too long or whatever, like their teeth get fucked up? I don't know if something bad happens if they nurse forever and ever, or if they're like, they get too bonded, or I don't know if that's okay. I need to do a different thing with Munster's meds, which is actually over the counter, which is helpful. So I'm going to text my vet tomorrow and ask him about the whole nursing situation still, because they're about to be 12 weeks old, and see what his perspective is on that. I don't know if I trust Dr. Google for that one. Because it's there, yeah. I mean, I guess the better answer is she's still producing milk. Hey, baby. But I do know my vet was surprised when she was in to get her eye looked at, because she has to be sedated when she goes to the vet. She's level tank times 10,000. She's not mean. She's just so scared that she's unhandleable. She's terrified. Like, she's legitimately terrified. And I guess she was leaking milk while she was sedated. And they're like, is she still nursing? How old are the babies now? Like, this is how old they are. She's not spayed yet. At some point after she gets spayed, her milk will just naturally dry up. But just like people, more or less, for as long as they keep nursing, she will still keep producing milk. You know, like if you breastfeed your kid for like 5 years, you're still going to be producing milk for like 5 years. Google AIMD is completely reliable. What do you mean? Well, I'm sure there's differing opinions that people have too. There's probably few scientific studies that have been done on the long-term effects of short-term versus regular term versus over-term nursing for kittens. I would guess. I feel like most of the research I would find would be like Reddit answers. You want to lay with your baby? See, yeah, you're just jacking your jaws. Daisy, you want to lay in the litter box or you're going to pee? I wonder if this will change as they get older, but these girls are so proper. So, like, feel free to laugh at me. But you know, most cats pee like this. Like they squat. Like they're normally like this and they squat. Okay? But the girls, all three of the kittens, not mom pees normally. All three of the kittens lay down like this to pee. I don't understand it. I've never seen a cat pee like that. They pee normal amounts. Hello, Daisy. That's my shoes and my butt. But it's hilariously proper and very cute and strange. But I feel like that's the weirdest way to describe anything, but they really don't squat. They lay down. And that's how they pee, and it's so strange. They don't do that to poop, thankfully. Because that'd be messy. But it's very weird. It's very weird. Daisy just did it. My little old man. My little old man lady. Love you, baby girl. Love you, baby girl. I love you. I love you. Is that proper? I'm unfamiliar with cat etiquette. No, I've never seen a cat pee laying down. Like, boys and girls pee a little bit different. We're having an educational hour. We can feel free to laugh at all of us. I don't care. Education is worth the laughter. So girl cats will kind of like prop themselves up a little bit over the box and like tinky with space underneath. Boys will usually like lay themselves really into it, like relax the spine, like drop down a little bit more. I don't know. Sometimes Charlie pees like a boy that's spraying and just like has her ass all the way up and lets it rip. And that's fun. But girls do mark their territory as well, just less than boy cats. So I think she's marking when she does that. Proper way to pee would be like side saddle or something. But like this. I don't even know how to do that on the floor. I know how to ride side saddle. It's very uncomfortable. But to stance into it, it would be like that, kind of. That feels like an awkward peeing position. I feel like I would not be able to control the stream. Even less than I can control this stream. That's just my weird share of the days that I have for you guys is the kittens pee weird. They've been doing that the last 12 weeks. I'm surprised I've been able to keep that to myself even long enough. Consider yourselves lucky. Alright, Miss Thang. My little squatters. Miss Thang. Let's see, that Stripes up there. Nibbler just pulled a disappearing act. And Miss Daisy. You're so... I don't even know the word for what it looks like she's feeling. But it makes me feel for her. Nibbler is unhinged. She's climbing the back of the chair. And Mama Void. I love you, girlfriend. I love you very much. Are you doing that thing again? I don't know if this is a normal thing about her. I'm gonna take a video of this. Every time we get back from the vet, at some point in the evening, she starts shaking. Even if she doesn't have anything done. I don't know if that's just her, like, trying to get comfort. Like, not necessarily shaking, but almost like being kind of twitchy. I don't know if that's just her falling asleep and, like, fighting it like we do sometimes. Or if it's, like, an issue. No, she's not doing it anymore. Maybe it's her just falling asleep from exhaustion. Like how when we're fighting sleep, we're kind of like... Maybe that's what she's doing. It's okay. I love you. Hello, darkness, my old friend. She sings that when she sees her sisters. Little wildlings. And it's fight night time. WWE. WWE, kitty. They fight so brutal. Or they play so brutal. They're little rats. They're getting more mindful about it, though, which I appreciate. Daisy's sweater humbled them. They said, I don't want to be in one of those. I'm going to be a little nicer. Hi, beautiful girls. I will be in before bedtime. And we shall get our snackies and our levins. I love yous. I love yous. I love yous. Alright, let's build something ridiculous. And pee. Not in that order. In the opposite order. It's the opposite day. There's something in humans called a hypnic jerk, which is a reflex when falling asleep. Oh, is that when you tap your feet, or when you that feeling like you're falling thing? Because both are a thing. I don't do the tapping of feet, but I've known a lot of people that do that. Where you feel like you're almost asleep, and then you feel like you're falling a little bit, and then you come back to reality, snap back to reality, and oh, there's still gravity. Probably gonna leave it in go mode. When that happens to me, it scares the living ever fuck out of me, and it makes me have trouble falling back asleep. I hate when it happens. It hasn't happened in a really long time. Knock on wood. Hopefully it won't. I hate it. My body takes it very seriously, and then I have to like regulate myself out of a panic attack because reality versus perceived reality. And heat up coffee and go tinky, and then we're gonna figure out what we're doing over here. I think just panels, 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 and then the litter boxes are there, and the rest of the furniture is at least shorter. I think that's the most that we can do at this point in time. I don't know. Supposedly a vestige of our hunter-gatherer days, and our body thinks that we need something before sleep. Oh, shit. Yeah, you know, I guess Neanderthals wouldn't really be like dreaming about falling off of buildings. They wouldn't know what that is. Putting that thought in my back pocket. That's interesting. Humans are so weird. I wish I was a cat. Hey, babes. Easy first. Well, your paw is out and you're gonna hop over that. Okay, we're gonna put the this away then. I don't know where to. There. Black baby flailing, inflatable flailing arm, cat tree man, cat tunnel man. Seekers. You are cat. Okay. I accept that. I'm happy with that. I'm satisfied with that. His nose, again, is not any better, but it's not any worse, which is good. It's going to take a while to heal, I'm sure. Woo! My mouth didn't hold all the coffee I drank. Don't let me have stained this. Oh no, it just fell in my skin. Thankfully, it wasn't scalding. Skin and hair, but not top. Aha. Just kidding, it never happened. What? I am cat, hear me? Mr. Z. His lumpy is so bad. Hey, buddy. I wouldn't expect anything to be broken, but I'd like to run x-rays just for shits and giggles. I don't want to set this up. I don't know. I need to rewrap all of the trees so bad. They look so scraggly. I would guess the first step will probably be like an anti-inflammatory and the Silencia shot like Tank gets. And see what that does for it if the x-ray shows nothing. But my poor guy. I do wonder though if he was compensating with the back leg and if it was the front leg that was an issue all along. That looks so stupid. Oh. The only should be open from what I tried to do with babies. And then I realized they would not be sturdy enough. I've seen people use these and it looks like they work. But like this connected to this, I just did not feel like would be sturdy for the bebas. The little beba beans. Hey Boya, are you gonna help? We're gonna see how this might be able to go. Flat ones. Hey Z. Your mom is crazy. Did you know that? Plot twist. Maybe the panels just leaning would be enough, but I'd like to see what it would be like if I tucked them under. Oh, that would be difficult because under the furniture though. Maybe just straight ups then? And we'll add bottoms if we need to. Because that's how you build things in a sensical way. That's building instructions. Straight ups and bottoms? I guess I could have left that on there. Oh no, it was facing down. This will be kind of a bitch to go around. I think that will work though. I already did them backwards. It doesn't matter, but I love myself. I do good. I do the good. Let's try and repeat the wrong patterns. See what happens. Here's the other one. Beginners and architects spend years in school learning about straight ups and bottoms. I am no architect. I am the arc defect. If we're gonna do it wrong, we might as well make it match the wrong. No! Go in. Connect. Connect 4. Thank you. Oh. Into this one. Building up my vulnerability shield, Club Cult. Building walls. It's a terrible joke. I've been too busy for therapy for a couple months. And I got an email earlier, like, you should do a check-in. And I keep trying to not forget it, and it's heavy on my mind. Not heavy on my mind, but trying to not forget. Like, oh yeah, that probably would be good to check in. I like my therapist. She's a middle-aged Polish lady, and that speaks to me. That speaks to me. Think he already could? Is he? Where? Oh, he's in the potty box. I mean, that's not ideal, but I can't block them out from the litter boxes. So it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Mr. Magooty. So you need like 2 more panels. Up and up. It's not ideal that he's doing that, but that's kind of out of my control. And that's less bad than launching up on the tree. I accept it. This is gonna look so fucking Polish. Thought he was gonna continue to the tree, but he stopped there. Hopefully, I mean, I don't want him to be in pain and like feel pain and feel pain, but hopefully he's starting to know his limits. Thing is, though, cats just really don't care. I love them, but they don't care. Oh, I started doing these backwards and forwards. It's okay, we don't have to build forwards, so it doesn't matter, but that was a thing I did. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be what we need it to be. Goodbye, Club Cult. I'm in my fort. No boys allowed. No boys allowed. I think it needs 1 more. Up. 1 more. 1 more. It's putting weight on his paw instead of his fancy paw, which is maybe getting better. I hope so. I would love to have the appointment we made be pointless and for it to just clear up. He has been resting a lot today, though. Maybe he's just feeling refreshed. Not that I don't want him to feel better, but I would always rather overreact than underreact. But I do want you to feel better, buddy. I feel so bad. Poor kid. Whatever. If this is pointless, then it was pointless. Then that's fine. Okay. So it'll just build out and around from that. Like, are we seeing the vision? I think it'll make sense. I think. I hope. Does this butt out as far as this does? Almost. There's like maybe an inch of difference. It'll be fine. There's the chair as my holder. Oh, we got another free band hammer. It's exciting. Oh, go in. That's what she said. Our help. Help. There we go. Decent. A little band hammer for small offenses. The last time I bought my closet shelving that's similar to this style of these for the cubes. I got a band hammer with it. I don't know where my band hammer is right now. It's somewhere. I think it's in my bedroom. From previous stream times in there. Not banning the zoo off stream. I feel like that's going to be unsturdy if I keep going up with it. I should go across for a while. More plastic. Annoying. Annoying! Damn one. Oh, or maybe I made this more complicated, or maybe less. I don't know. We shall see. Oof. Too much. I'm just repeating my initial mistake pattern. One forward, one backwards, one forward, one backwards. Can't you imagine the egregious activity the zoo would have to get up for them to be banned? Nothing. They could do nothing to be banned. Except for when Ringo shit his pants like a million times, then I screamed at him that he was violating the sanctity of my sanity. Not screamed at him, but like, Ringo, you're violating the sanctity of my sanity. I had a crash out. I had a mental breakdown. But that's about it. Yeah, they can get away with anything they want. They do as they please. I am but the observer and the lover and the mama and sometimes even the enabler. It's gonna be so dumb. It's gonna work, but it's gonna be dumb. You can do whatever they want. I love them. Even when Ringo has a million accidents, I still love him. It's not his fault. He had a bad start to life with his tummy. There's just only so many horse shits in the house in his crate that I can take in one day. The trouble with it is that when he has an accident in his crate, one, he shouldn't, because the size of his crate is the proper proportion to him to where he shouldn't want to shit next to himself. And he doesn't cry until after the deed is done. So it's only after there is a steaming pile of trouble for me to clean up that I hear. It's like, can't you just tell me that you have to go potty? Please? Please? Can we cover that in our PetSmart training? That would be nice. That'd be very nice. Ringo's a simple man, though. He just does. And then he gets upset that there's poop next to him. Which, I get it. I would be upset if there was poop next to me, too. Did I ever tell you guys about the time I got peed on in my sleep by backup? Since we're on mostly-ish the subject, backup was on an allergy shot, and the first time he got it, I woke up the next day, literally woke up in the morning before even my alarms to him peeing on my back, because the side effect of it was increased thirst, therefore increased urination. And I don't know why he thought that was how he needed to get my attention, but he peed on my back. It was gross. It was very gross. So we were very, very mindful for the next shots. Pooping 101 is an advanced class. Ugh, but he's starting with beginner. We gotta level up fast. We gotta speed run. Someone tell Ringo. You gotta get some aim assist cheats in here. Literally. Aim for the yard and not your crate. Aim assist. Oh, silly Serena, it's not in the... Damn it. I love these, but when you fork one up, it forks like 4 of them up. And it's dumb. Boy, you're behind what I'm covering. Don't get yourself trapped. Don't do that, darling. Don't do that, darling. Wrong side. Wrong side. It's supposed to be on the wrong side, and I put it on the right side, and that was wrong. Okay. This one is right side. Goes into there. 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 Okay. I'm a professional builder! Kind of. Sort of. A little bit. A little bitty bit. A little bit. There's no snooze button on that alarm clock. Fuck no, there's not. I was shocked. Like, I've told you guys this before. You know all the gross things about me. I do not share any of my sins. I sweat in my sleep. Like, that's just life. In my life. Sometimes I sweat a lot in my sleep. So I assumed for the first moment that I woke up that I had just sweated really bad, like the worst I've ever sweated in my life. And then I realized once I came to in a few more breaths and smelled what was not a sweat smell. Like, there's no way I could have peed on my back. And then there's backup over me on the bed just, good morning, mama. Good morning. Good morning. I'm like, oh my God. You peed on me. You peed on your mother. Proud to say I've never been peed on by a man. Not into that. Not proud to say I've been peed on by a dog. And not just like happy padiddles like Pippi. That's just little tinkles. It was a full-on piss. I missed, like, daddy daycare, since we're on the subject. I missed. That was such a cute movie. I want to watch it again. My niece and nephew loved it when I showed it to them. They thought it was hilarious. Like, it was an older movie to them, and that was so long ago. What is it now, even? Ah! My Legos broke. Stupid piece of plastic. Oh, my hip popped. That felt good. It was worth it. See, sometimes getting mad is healthy. Sometimes. You gotta feel your feels. Oh, what the fuck did you do? You go there. You go there. You biscuit. You biscuit butt. Okay, now you go here. You don't get double fisted and go over here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I should have done these before. Oops. They're tight. Which is good. That means I'm doing it right. But oh god. One more in that corner. One more. Don't remember Daddy Daycare quotes? Remember it vaguely. I like Kindergarten Cop. I remember a lot of those. Quite possibly because Arnold was so memorable. I know I saw Kindergarten Cop as a kid, but I don't remember too much of it. But I do remember a lot of Daddy Daycare. There's a very, very pivotal scene where a kid who dressed as the Flash went to the bathroom on his own, and he came out and he said, "I missed." And the main guy is like, I can't remember his name right now. Eddie Murphy? He's like, "What do you mean you missed?" And the kid's like, "I missed." And he goes in the bathroom and there's just pee all over the walls, everywhere, 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 everywhere. It's just a stupid, funny scene. I missed. What do you mean you missed? I missed. I find that very quotable for many moments of my life, not referring to urine, thankfully. We're like waking up on time. I missed. I missed my alarm. I slept right through it. I haven't done that in a while. I'm surprised. Knock on wood. Hopefully it does not happen soon. Backwards. I don't think I need to secure the top of this. Like, I don't think they're gonna fuck with that. That's what I thought it was, but I was having trouble picturing him for a moment. But I could hear his voice, and I was pretty sure it was Eddie Murphy's voice. Oh no, she's hearing voices. The voices. She's gone full Harley. Making this look so easy. It's as tall as me. I'm a little taller. I'm finally taller than something. Kind of. Alright, let's see how many need to go across. Oh, more. Oh yeah, your leaf. Very precarious. Okay, brother, you are good enough. And then 1, Then maybe corner? Ooh, I don't know. We're cutting it close. We're not trying to cut corners, but we're cutting it close. Oh, don't be a slidey sloop. Don't do that. There. And corner? Might need one more. I don't know if this will work. That's so funny. This portion right here, this panel, is where the slope of the room starts. It's just slightly weighing it off the floor. Let me scooch that all the way in. Other way. Oh, you further mucker. Do I have to shim this thing? It's hard to put together without flat ground. Ah! Come back. Get out of my face. How do corners work? Like this. Does that actually hold? Yeah, excuse me, Boya. We're very limited on space right now. I think that's good. I just gotta get one more panel around the other side of over here. Because that's a 2 wide, that's a 2 wide. I need more connectors. There's one more over there. I need 2 more right now, I think. I just had this room so nice and neat and tidy, and now it's all hodgepodge and smushed apart. Again. Come back! Come back! I want a coffee break. Excuse me. It's not bad. Like, it's not gonna look horrible in the background. I don't know, accomplished the purpose, I think. For expert builders, Club Cult. Expert builders. Okay. I'm gonna crawl into the corner and build up this part real quick. I take you guys with me, but then you're like face first in a litter box, and you probably don't want that. So you guys can just wait over there. Just for a minute. Just a little minute. What is that? Oh, that was used to be the flat for Gunther litter box. Yes, it works. And then corner bit. Get these up over here. Can scoot us in a little bit. Looking at this from afar, looks like it says building a tortilla. Building a TARDIS. Yes, not building a tortilla. I was trying to read from afar. Flat panels. Oh, you fucker. Ah. We've entered that point. That's a cat toy. Oh, all the boys are laying together right now. Look, what? Wow. Oh, I gotta take a picture. I gotta take a picture. I think they're all together. They're all together. What the fuck just happened? Don't move. Buddies. 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 Gundy's asleep. He's not gonna look at me. But, I gotcha. It's all good and smushy. Oh. We like cozy zones. Want to see building a tortilla now? Hey, when we build a fort, I gotta get one of those tortilla blankets then. Look out for the stream title, Building Tortilla. Alright, let me figure out where the piece I lost went. That was a cat toy I grabbed. That was obviously not the right thing. There it is. You boys were made for each other. Aw, that makes me so happy. I guess it's pointless to have this light on if that's going to be covered too. Okay. Now it's going to be a bit of a roundabout experience. I did the over yonder there? I don't know. I don't know. Poop. One, two, three, two. Oh, why did you come out? Come on. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. There you go. Good panel. That's a good panel right there. Good job, panel. Good panel. Good panel. Ooh. Oh no, I was building up. That's where I was. Up, up, and away. Then cornery bits. I wish this belt was easier to go through belt loops, but it's not. Or these shorts just have tiny belt loops. Don't know which. One of the above statements is true. Possibly both. So flimsy. That's why I didn't think it'd be good for the babies, like long term. Like that's flimsy. Even if there was connectors at the top, it would still be kind of flimsy. I feel like Stripes could have taken that on in 2 seconds. Very precarious. Very precarious. Those are tall. No! No! Stinky butt of a corner. Stay. Stay. Good panels. I'm actually surprised I had this many of these. I didn't think there was going to be enough. That's static. Shame on you. How dare you? I feel like I'm kind of building like a stage. It's very like akin to that. Oop. Oh. Stay in. Oh. Got one. One more up. Up, up, up. I don't know, maybe we'll run out of panels. I have white panels too, but that's all the black ones I left. That's all she wrote for that one. And give it a hug. Tell it it's a good boy. Now I'm just gonna be hidden. I should have built the other side. I painted myself into a stream corner. Boom. Existence. Okay. These. Like this. Okay. And then we do still have time for games. Yay! I thought I was taking longer than I was. This did take longer than I thought, but everything that I try to DIY does. So I just accept that. Alright, that's backwards. Oh, you cunt. I don't think it matters for this wall anyway, but for the sake of doing things right, it matters. It matters. Oh, there are more black panels. Thanks. Oh, the white ones are covers. Like drawers. Okay, that makes sense. And then the side is the right side. And then the next row up is the opposite side. Attach. Attach, you demon. Okay. We did it. We did it. Then wrong sides. Oh, there's exactly enough panels. These are the last two. There's exactly enough to do this ridiculousness. That's funny. That's wonderfully convenient, though. Hell yeah. Last one! Look at us accomplishing things! I'm so proud. I'm so proud. Oh, maybe the corner ones should have a little thing on top of each of them. Cause, I mean, I don't know. Someone could jump up and like boop this. I don't know how, but it could happen. I feel like it's possible. And put one on the other side too. I'm gonna pull a disappearing act. Now you see me? Now you don't. Aha! Okay. Done. Slavka. Okay. Now mommy is a jerk and no tree for a few days. At least until Friday when Zeke can get a checkup. And then everything else in here is no more than 3 feet up. Not crazy climbing. Not ideal climbing. But not crazy climbing. And I can't rearrange all of our lives all the time. I just can't. I think this works. He mostly likes just chilling in his spot over here. Anyway. Brothers. Brothers. I feel like boy at the very least should have a children's book written about him. He's so amicable. He's such a good boy. Alright, the tunnel's up. This stuff is up. Golden! Golden! Hello, boys. I'm gonna take a break with the boys really quick. Hi! You moved your pillow. Hello. I don't care that I'm wearing shoes. I haven't worn these shoes outside. Whatever germs they have from like 30, 40 years ago, whenever my grandmother last wore them, I'm not worried about. Or maybe I'm starting an epidemic. I don't know. Hi, BBs. Tomorrow you wake up and seem to be missing cats. Remember to look behind the TARDIS? Yeah. I feel like I'm going to wake up tonight and that's going to freak me out. Or at least when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to see it and like be confused. I already wake up rather confused because I try to figure out before I open my eyes where I fell asleep last night. Like not some random dude's house, but like which room with the zoo in the house. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. Hi, buddy. But I feel like I'm gonna wake up extra confused tomorrow, like, what happened in here? Based on Boy's earlier adventure, someone might think there's a neat little kitty corner back there. Yeah. I hope they'll be respectful of it. I don't know. I really genuinely don't know if Zeke will try to take it down. I don't think Gunther will. Voya might. 50-50. We'll see. 50-50. I love that they're such good buddies. Like, I feel like it takes a lot more time for cats to be okay with being this close. Especially with Gunther just laying over here, too. They're just made to be. They're made to be. Gunther is very perplexed by this. I think he is perhaps displeased. Like, Mom, you took away my perch. I know. I'm a mean mommy. I'm sorry. Your brother, he just has a fancy paw. The fancy paw. Or his gay side is coming around. Being around some handsome boys. He's a bit metrosexual. Oh, hey. That's really what he's doing. Gunther is very perplexed by all of this. He's like, what the hell? What the hell is going on? He keeps pacing around it like, she took away my fortress. Oh, sorry, Voya. Sorry. I just clipped it with my shoe. Oh my god, I'm the worst mom in the world. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Knock some sense into you. Just kidding. I'm sorry. I kissed it better. I'm so sorry. I know. You can beat me up. Beat me up. You can do it. I deserve it. I deserve it. Gunther, come here. Give me the magical trio. Come here. You got an itchy leg? Come here. He doesn't want to do lap as much, too. He did a little bit last night, but I think it's probably hard to get settled and comfortable having an unbalanced gait. Come here. Come here. Come here. I'm forcing you into it. Love me. Love me. The trifecta is complete. If anyone has any spells to cast, now is the time. Now is the time. Time is nigh. 'Tis now. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. The only hard part about having Zeke is I don't have 3 hands. Gotta trade off. It's like Duck Duck Goose of cat love. Anyone's ever wondering what I do in my free time off stream. And rotate. 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 I love you. Gunther's purring so big right now. Oh my god. It's the cat Illuminati. Aww. The X-Files theme. Do 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 do. I love when I can hear things perfectly in my head and I try to imitate it and it's just not happening. Do 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 do. We watched a lot of the X-Files growing up because it was one of the few shows that was like sci-fi but still drama. So my dad and his long-term girlfriend kind of agreed on it and they both liked it. And I rewatched all the episodes when I lived in my apartment. And I enjoyed it. It was a very well done series. Like, it got cheesy and hokey at times, but it always redeemed itself. It was very well done. I liked it. I mean, it was the right notes. It just didn't sound right. But I'm also not a whatever instrument they made it on. But thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Mommy wants to play some Legos. Have we done our summonings? 5, 4, 3, 2. Countdown to summoning circle. Summoning triangle. 2, 1. Meow. 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 Kitten timer has gone off. Scolder and Molly. Oh my god. You guys make me laugh. The whole will they won't they through the entire series though. I feel like that got everyone. That's how you get girls into nerd shows, into sci-fi, into arguably a little bit more like I don't know, not paranormal. I don't know if sci-fi is even the right word for it. I don't know. How would you guys describe it? I'm gonna flip us over. That looks so weird. All of the that. So strange. It makes it both more and less tidy in here. A lot of ladies really like David Duchovny. He is a handsome boy, I will say. It's the trench coats. I don't know. Maybe. I think he looks good in a trench coat. I like trench coats though. Trench coat fetish. JK. 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 Alright, give me games! My computer was happy for a while, now it's mad again. You fucking motherfucker, get your head on straight. Supernatural, that's the word I'm looking for. Whether referring to paranormal or sci-fi. The ambiguous paranormal aspect, I feel like, drew a lot of people in. I'm gonna check on the babies, but I can't run baby cam, which is annoying. I can, but then my computer will blow up. That's not fun. We don't want to do that. Oh, Mom is actually inspecting the carrier. She's being brave. Brave girl. Oh wait, no, that's Stripes. Never mind. Too skinny. Tail is fluffy. Maybe that is Mom. Yeah, that is Mom. Her tail is too thick to be Nibbler and too big to be Stripes. It's so funny that they're like so close to the same size. The kittens are just so lanky. Screams. Blurp. How do I want to do this? Straighten my camera first and foremost. And then blurp her down a little bit. And I'll make this a little bigger. Blurp. Oh, that's crooked. ISO remote controlled camera. I would probably still control it by hand anyway. Actually, I have a remote controlled tripod. Like outside of the one that we use for on the go. And I just don't use it. I don't know why. It's right there. It's literally right there, sitting behind my monitor saying, Serena, I'm here for when you want to use me. And I don't. I don't. This doesn't still need to be out, and nor does this. Short girl problems. There we go. Lego Bibbins! I do not remember where. Oh, we stopped at the crack. Maybe? Why is my water bottle out here? I don't know why it was in the entry, but it was. Shh. Swoopers categories. We don't have the longest time to play tonight, but we shall do our best for the time that we have. I have to be a bit strict tonight. I have to go to the doctor tomorrow and be on time. I cannot miss this appointment. Really, you shouldn't miss any appointments, but it's my annual physical. My old primary care physician used to have so much availability. And the guy that they hired to replace him, I guess ended up being crap. I don't know, I didn't switch to him. I switched to another guy in the office. And I think they're still compensating for those missing appointment slots, not having another doctor. Because I made this appointment like 3 months ago. Like, he's primary care physician booked 3 months out. That's not common, I don't think. Load game. Danny Elfman made some dang good Batman music, though. Did he do most of the Batman scores? I like Danny Elfman. I suppose if you know his work well enough, you can probably figure it out by ear when you hear it. I don't know it well enough to figure it out by ear. No nuts, no. Botrix is pushing that hard tonight, and I'm not even mad. Not even mad. I'm here for it. Oh, we're here. I was trying to figure this out. This is dumb. Okay, let's revisit it with a fresh perspective and see how we feel about it. We would have already done whatever with that. Give me your Legos. So I don't think it needs to push any further. Can't interact with that for anything more. Shiny! So... Oh, maybe I needed to break this stuff before. And maybe I did. We didn't get to whatever the save point was. Did something on here show us the controls? Did I even ever open this before? What the hecky? Oh, game controls. The interact button was the build button, I think. Oh, it did save to a point. This is turned off. Good. Huh, ha, hoo. Why is that just floating there? Let me have you! Okay, I don't care anymore. Thought Robin needed to do something with the lever. He got his fancy suit out of there. You're a red thing. Do we have to do something with you? That looks like a lever. Is that important? Can you break those? That's fun. Only a few days left and Botrix knows. Botrix is all knowing. Oh, I didn't mean to be Alfred. Oh, stop with your silly soul transference. Stop it. I feel like Robin had to do those parts. That's just, I'm gonna fall and die. Yeah. So the objective is still, I think, to get somewhere up there to where Lucy. But did I have to be Robin for a part of it? Oops. More stuff to break and build? Oh. Oh, what are you? Exciting. Alfred, man the computer. I feel like Alfred needed that. He deals with a lot. There's nothing to build with. Darling, what do you want me to do? Order of operations, say what? Does Robin have to do something with this? Maybe we already fucked with it. I don't know. Oh. I think that means I did that right. Celebratory punched Alfred. That looks right.
Some kind of spaceship. Its composition suggests it came from outside the
I think.
solar system.
Maybe we should contact Martian Manhunter to check it out from the watchtower.
Yeah. Go contact him on the Justice League communicator.
Oh. Okay.
That's some
Sure.
good thinking.
We're doing my idea.
We're doing my idea. Oh no, is this where Batman goes evil? I thought we passed that part. I guess not. Shit. A cupcake and coffee for dinner. Batman likes Uncrustables. Uh-oh. Oh, he does go evil here. That was the checkpoint that we missed. Excuse me.
I don't know, Alfred. Watch out.
Batman, that's a heck of a fit, sir.
Not if we stop him first, Alfred.
I think we had to build something to stop him. Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. Alfred is better at smashing things. Sorry, Robin. Don't fall over. Blurp, blurp, blurp. Fire. I would assume fire bad. Yeah, fuck that chair. It was never comfortable anyway. Oh no, no, don't set yourself on fire. Thank you. Don't do that. Breaking stuff really isn't making any Lego pieces. Robin has to get up to there for bats. Oops. It's him in just his regular suit. Oh, how do we swing up there? I feel like I vaguely remember doing that. What does Robin need to do for that one? Do we need to build something down here? We should be able to use our— sorry, Alfred. Use our stick. Where's my stick? Oh. There's my stick. Giggity. I'm jumping the wrong way. Batsy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Alfred is better at kicking Robin's bird ass, that's for sure. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Oops. I didn't see the button. My bad. My bad. Adam West! Forgot he was in this part. Oh, this is the Tomb Raider part! I like that. Dang. That's how you bulk? Steak and cupcakes? Something tells me you're not gonna break that, Robin. Is Robin just dumb or is Alfred better at this? No, those just don't break. Looks like we build over here. There's more pieces. Robin's bird ass. Oh my goodness. Fire. Oh yeah, Alfred is fireproof. He just needs his shield up, I think. That's a character change moment. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. I thought he could go through fire, yeah. That's shiny. I feel like that's important. Does that mean I took too long? Uh-oh. Like riding a bike, I kind of remember most of for this. The, what's it called? Is it building on its own? What is it doing? The controls felt really difficult and clunky at first, but they make a bit more sense now. Which I find interesting to walk back to. Although, to be fair... Oops. To be fair, I feel like... You're bouncing. You could probably button mash your way through this game, and it would be okay. I might be wrong, but just pressing random things doesn't really do you the most harm. Unlike in some games. Not a character change thing, that's a hint. Oh! No. Are you hinting at me? What are you hinting at me? I don't even remember where it was. Did it go away? Or was it further back? Accomplishment? There's loose Legos to build? Build? I don't know. Oh, don't fall over. Don't fall over. I don't think just pushing them over is accomplishing much. That just jumped over. Build! Oh, hold. The hint was that Alfred was fireproof. Oh! It went away when you put out the fire. I didn't think it was that far back. See, it'd be a much more helpful hint to just tell me what the hint is. Why am I walking away from what I built? I probably need that, unless we need more pieces from, like, over there. Maybe. Robin. In your super suit! Green light, go! Okay. No more solar system for you, Batsy! And then, what do you want me to do from here? Make some sense for me. Oh, we can break these? No, I don't want Mini Robin. Mini Robin is annoying. I just don't know how to properly configure him yet. I guess we can beat these up. Let me beat Alfred. Alfred is more effective. He's got a big fucking tray. That's what we need. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Need to jump on Uranus in the solar system? Do I really? Or are you being funny? What do you want me to do? There's a lever. I don't think we do anything with that lever. At this point, for all like just fucking around and smashing I'm doing, might as well be playing a Untitled Duck game. Nuh-uh. Oh, we do! Kind of. Damn, okay. Oh, you stinky butt. It's illumination suit? No. The techno suit. It's one of those grapple points in the solar system. I see it now. Where's your... You're gonna send your guy... What? Did it show him in the source? I feel like this would work for that. Yeah. Grappling hook! Batman! Calm your panties. He's gonna blow us up again. Not the bats, not the bats, not the bats. Oh, we kind of like escaped that with a little bit of dignity that time. Where do you go now? I'm sorry, Adam West. I will come back for you. I will come back for you. That probably made stuff for us to be able to build with. It's dancing. Yeah. The pieces is dancing. Not really sure what the RC Robin is for. Doesn't seem to be much use for it. No, it doesn't. I wonder if it's something I can... Well, we have a hazmat suit. I really don't know what it would be for. But no, you stinky butt. You told me circle. Why'd you change your outfit? Beep 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 beep. Beep boop. Boop beep beep boop boop. Beep beep boop. Boop. How many buttons do you need to press, my friend? Oh, I need to be doing something. I see now. I thought it was an auto moment. No, it was a Serena needs to do things moment. Whoops. Nope. Just don't blow up the telescope. That's expensive, you idiot. He's crashing out. He doesn't give a fuck anymore. Bitman. Ugh. I see that, Alfred. Well, I got an illumination suit. Super suit. Is that a charge up spot? I think. Boop. Boop. Oh god, what did I do? We collected something with the other globe. I don't know what that does. A hint! I don't know it's hinting at me, but a hint! Adam West, I'm sorry. I am in my illumination suit. More like an elimination suit. Okay. I thought we already learned that, but maybe we're just relearning it. Yeah, I have no comprehension of what I've done to play when I am in tired girl hours. I do not retain any of game to memory. Nor am I very good. I still have fun either way. But I don't retain anything.
Back computer. Emergency defense protocol code SJB99. Protocol verified.
It's useless for me to learn anything new in a game after 1 a.m.
Batman.
I'll just forget it. I have no excuse with Doom though. I'm just bad. I'm not giving up. We will come back to it. I just need to get some of my sanity back first.
Back computer. Disable.
Need a fresh start.
Darn, too late.
Oh, he's crash out driving now.
I see he's still familiar with the Batmobile defense systems.
I just hope he remembers who he is.
Uh-oh.
Gotta stop him.
Illumination suit. Illuminati. X-Files theme. It all connects. It all makes sense. It's the conspiracy. It's the Club Code conspiracy. What does it even mean? I guess I don't have the right suit on. I don't know if you're telling me to use that or not. Oh, I think this is about how far maybe we got before. I feel like I remember seeing him in the Batmobile. I don't know. Why I decided I need to be all lit up right now for no reason, I don't know. I feel like this is probably a valid area to get stuck. Oh, is this a way? Are you a way? Are you a thing? I suppose not. What are you? Something to do with this. Either build a grappling hook. Oh, that's how I conserve light energy. Does this mean anything? This is just a dark corner. So does that mean we... No, that's not selectable. That's not delectable that's not selectable. What do we do with you? You and your nonsense. Bouncy, 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 bouncy. To get up to here? Like break all this down? Alfred. Get over here and help me. Is that gonna... I don't think that moves actually. Doesn't look very movable. That was pretty dark. If only there was some kind of light source. You know what? That's actually a good idea. Maybe that's why they suggested a light suit. Save. Sure. Why not? I did not consider that. Because, like, I can see it good enough. But maybe I do have to be a glowy little bastard for it to make sense. I think I need to recharge, though. Will you make sense now? Ah! Missiles! Gold! I think, I don't know, what, Alfred? Oh, there's stuff all, what, huh? What in the French of toast do you want me to do? Oh, we're building. Somewhere. What? Oh. Over there. Good call! If only you had some sort of light source. Look at me! I'm a glowing robin, hee hee! Now, regular stick? No, still not stick. Oh, just circle. Circle, circle, dot, dot. Now you got your cootie shot. Or do I still need to be Alfred? Hmm? There. Blurp, blurp, blurp. Oh, I thank you. I thank you. I figured that out all by myself. We got a boat. We're on a boat, Club Colt. I think that's a boat. Looks like a boat. Nemo touched a butt. It's a butt. It's a bat butt. Where's T-Pain? Dang, I forgot to invite him. How rude of me. Okay, just auto launch yourself over there. What do you want me to do? Oh no. That was uncomfortable. What? My boat's gonna blow up before I accomplish anything. No, that's not right. Don't eject yourself. Believe in yourself, Robin. What am I supposed to be shooting? I'm gonna get destroyed. I would guess him, but he's not selectable. Is there something that we take down onto him? Or do I drive the boat? Can we drive the boat? I'm confuddled. I don't think so. I don't think I missed a step. No, get back in there. Now he's all shielded up. I would assume when his shield comes down, that's when we're supposed to do something, but... where to shoot to? It's certainly not me, but you never know. Batsy, can't you just calm down for me? That is the point of objective, but it doesn't show... Oops. What? I'm supposed to be hitting. What are the controls? Square? Oh! I was hitting the wrong button. I was hitting circle. I thought circle was action and interact, but square is more often interact than circle. Or action than circle. Circle is like interact and build. Square is action. Square means business. Maybe. Alfred, you got all turned around. Where is darling Batsy now? Charge up in case you need it. You're absolutely right. Square was the way. Alfred, through the fire and flames we carry on. Okay. These are bouncing, so I guess quick build? Yes. What in the mech arm? He's also sophisticated. Are we gonna hit him with a fire extinguisher? Oh no, I guess with the fire we are. That should have been my first instinct, and it was not. It was not. You've got Dragon Force in your brain. Such a good song. Through the fire and the flames we carry on. Oh. I was just moving us, but I guess that worked. That was a happy accident. Yay. Oh, this is so weird over here. But I really hope it works. I wonder if I should leave the curtains closed so they can't walk. Like, see to walk on the trim for the window. I just considered that. Oh, boys, do you want to be Batman? Live in the darkness. I mean, there's windows behind this door and the other one that's like it over there. So there's still sunlight that comes in here. And that's going to kind of be stinky. I don't think I should open the curtains. I love how my brain just changes gears 30,000 ways in a different direction. The boys are snuggling again. Ah, I'm gonna try and take a picture with better quality camera. I even moved Zeke's food over here so that he doesn't have to walk far for it. His appetite is a little bit better today. So I think that means his nose is feeling better, even if it doesn't look too much better, which I appreciate. What else was I gonna say? Oh, I made like a stair step out of blankets to go over the jump for the door, so we can get to the potty boxes easy over there. I think it's okay. Sometimes there's stuff that they plan for Coop, like pressing 2 buttons at once and AI takes over for that. Ah! That's a lot. How do children figure this shit out? Genuinely. This is the same as playing Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? Welcome to Mantofer. Did you ever get to finish saving Adam West? No! My understanding is, what I've been told, is that they're meant to be played through multiple times. So we get the thing, you don't have the things, the tools that you need to do all the rescues the first time around, but then you come back to it later. And he's not a lost cause. We're gonna come back for him. Not leaving him stranded. We have to collect the tools that we need and then come back and redo not episode, level. And then we can save him. He's not a lost cause. I'm not forgetting about him. Ah, I am yawning, but I'm not forgetting about him. I'm not. Now I'm rage breaking everything. This is therapeutic. This is how one avoids destroying their own stream setup. Oh, Alfred said something, but I didn't pay attention or listen to it. I don't know if that was important or not. Whoops. Serena's desire to help all the old men will save him. One of the few human men I can save. There's a door! I spent all day minding Wayne Manor. Now it's time for you to mind your own manners. That's hilarious.
Okay, I think this will work better than the back room.
Alfred is sick of Batsy's shit. Does Alfred drive it? Oh yeah, go Alfred. Go Alfred. Go Alfred. Oh, that is what we're shooting at. Okay. I think. Go Alfred. Go Alfred. Oh! You blew up Alfred! You ungrateful child! You spoiled brat.
I think we're running out of back vehicles.
We must get to the Batwing control center. It's our only
You
chance.
spoiled brat. I don't think that means anything. Build. Build. Go Alfie. Go Alfie. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. When is Alfred's birthday? Did they ever give him a birthday? I'm sure they did. There's probably some scene in a comic somewhere where they're having a heartfelt moment of happy birthday, Alfred. Alfred birthday, Batman. Alfred Pennyworth's birthday is not definitively fixed across all DC continuities, but a commonly cited date is August 16th, 1943. So he's like 12 years older than my dad. It's argued that either August 16th or April 8th is his birthday. Was I building? Did we finish building? I stopped paying attention. Oh. You, why didn't you get up here, you lazy fuck? Do you need his techno suit for whatever is over there? Robin's technology suit can be used to call for his toy Wonder Robot. Hee hee. Hold circle to use. While controlling Toy Wonder, you can press 0 to pass through small hatches and interact with the tech panels. So what small hatch do you want me to pass through, buddy? That one? Do we have to that looks like we probably have to open it first. No, no. Go back to Alfred for a minute. He had some no. He has something selectable over here. Why are you saying triangle? So I need to be Robin. And his little thing goes where? Giggity. Like, is that gonna open? That looks like an open hatch. Why are these pieces still here? No, that... Oh no, get out of the fire. That's bad. Fuck them shits. Okay, Robin doesn't get to build having his little guy. He just doesn't. Do I just go up to it and then it opens? Ah! Ah? Circle. Oh, now it worked. So what do you want me to do from here? What do you want from me? He did find a purpose for Tiny Robin. I still find him kind of annoying, though. What is your purpose? More holes? The R for Tiny Robin. Oh, that just takes us back and forth. I don't think I did whatever I needed to do over there. What do you want me to do? Yeah, da 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 da. I am confused. I don't know what I need to interact with up here. Baboos. Yay. What? Like, really? What? Eh? Okay. Ah, bridge extension. That looks like one of those bridges that are at playgrounds. That wooble wooble. That the kids jump on and it throws you off. Find Big Robin annoying also, so maybe it's just a character trait. He's just a little dumb. You know, it's not his fault, but also the suit is really dumb. And that's annoying too. Alright, do we need to breakboard things? There's bouncy pieces. Build. 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 Oh, does he need the hazmat? He has to suck up Legos and use the hazmat suit for that, I think. Need Lego fuel. And then genuinely feel like this is like to teach kids how to like clean up their toys. It's 28 and we need 25 of them. Plug it in, plug it in. Oh, that's it. That's it. And what now? No, not. Oh, I guess that's what he needed to do. I thought Robin was just being a dick. DDR? Guitar Hero? What? I don't know what you're asking of me. What is this? What in the alternate fucking universe? Red versus blue? Shiny, shiny, shiny. Okay. What is this meant to be? Is it like an ode to Tron? Does it seem that similar? I didn't watch Tron. I'm not cool. Oh, that's wherein the difficulty lies. It has to be calculated perfectly. Okay. Now we got another thing that I can let get blown up. It's your guess whenever anyone goes inside of a computer. Oh, snap. We want to get inside the Batwing. Okay. We'll get there. En moment, mon chéri. I do not know where we go, baby. Is there a way to maybe run faster? I don't remember. That just looked fun. No, we're just up here, but I don't know where we go. Not off of there. That's done for. Done for. Alfred, I can't see where you was going. I don't think that door is gonna mean anything. Boop, boop. It's sparkly. I don't think it means too much though. Red and blue just makes me think of red versus blue. Do I need to ricochet this bitch? Robin? Robin. Get your butt over here. In your regular suit. Basic bitch. Doesn't do anything. Maybe? Yes. Grappling hook! Woo! Robin's strong. Strong Robin. Ah! Triangle. I'm sure the creators of Red vs. Blue watch Tron. They were big nerds. It's possible. It's possible. Oh shit, what are we shooting at now? I think that's not the selector. Where am I being shot at from? Below me? Below me. You know, might as well just fuck up another bat vehicle while we're at it. Or if they just copied the Halo team colors. I'm sure the Halo team creators watched Tron. I'm sure it's possible. I mean, like, even down to... I feel like it's impossible to enjoy things and not be inspired by them. Case in point, in the other room in this level where it was so similar to the Tomb Raider-y setup. It's nice to see little homages to things, either in games or movies, or really just in general in any kind of media. I like it. Like, one of my favorite things about, that's disturbing. One of my favorite things about Life is Strange is all of the references to Twin Peaks. That tickles me. I enjoy the game, but I enjoy it probably 30% more just for that reason. Why is Batman the black bat version of the giant marshmallow man? Fucking A, man. You just killed me! I'm your sidekick, you fucking fucker. Oh! I just killed me. Square, 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 square. Poor Alfred, use your shield. Use your shield, old man. How do we get him? I respawned, but my body was still there. Why am I slow-mo? What? Do we build with this broken piece? I don't know what to do. Why isn't there a hint over here? I shall crawl inside of you and remind you that you are good. Oh no, I can't do that. That's bouncing though. Do I just need him to hit? Oh. I was wrong. Whoop! Oh, tap, not hold. You fucker! Hold him off, Alfred. The light! The light! Below me, Trebek! Wait, what, Alfred? I didn't listen. Must something now, sir? 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 What do I do to help you, Batman? Do I have to beat him up? I gotta beat him up! What? Did I not do that in a good enough amount of time, maybe? Do I have to wait for him to break more stuff? Um. Genuinely, how do children figure this shit out? Slow-mo. Oh, now we get more stuff. Okay. Build. Build, bitch, build! Time to hug it out, slap some sense into him. The two can be mutually exclusive. Oh, how did I push things? I forget. Oh, fucker, don't die. I think I need to be on the green side. Stop it! Stop hitting me! Batman! That's bad manners. Christ almighty. I was doing a very typical Serena thing and pushing the wrong side.
I never thought it would come to this. Master Bruce, please. Your dinner is getting cold.
It's 3 times, I think, based on his little health bar. I don't remember what it was. He laughs like the frog in the first boss level of Spyro Year of the Dragon. It's the same. It's exactly the same. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. 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 No! No! Okay. Now we should hit something really hard and we'll get more Legos and then we build. Oh, Alfred, you got smooshed. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Do, 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 do. There, stuff. Oh, did I just bonk my build stuff? Oh, okay, it came back. I thought I fucked it up. Classic stage 3 boss fight. With a Christmas themed jukebox playing not Christmas music. Playing Batman. Is this what brings him back to? He's like, oh, the music, that's my true purpose. Ah. Knock some sense into him. Why you still green eyes?
Me, Robin, you know, Tim Drake. 13, remember? We're supposed to fight the bad guys. Please, I'm your friend.
I'm your friend. So whiny.
Sorry.
Back computer, cancel defense protocol.
Alfred is ready to knock him out.
I'm Batman. I don't need Fred.
Oh, that's true. His cape is green, usually, I think, right?
If it wasn't for your emotions.
Emotions had nothing to do with it. One of the panels in the Batmobile shorted out. The electrical charge must have counteracted the mind control.
I'm pretty sure it was my
Robin is secretly a Christmas psyop
It wasn't the speech.
inserted by DC Comics.
Who was trying to control my mind and why?
Sell more merch for the holidays. I think it is black in the game, but I'm pretty sure most of his canon outfits, his cape is green. I don't know about more modern Robin.
No pictures, please.
We'll test Father TV's knowledge next time I see him. That was cute. That tank is way too small for that fish. Back in the Adam West years, it was for sure green. That's the Robin that I remember the most. Or the Robin that I think has been most prominent in media. Stop with the Adam West slander. It's beyond my control. We will come back for him. He just needs to be patient. It is beyond my control. So we need him and his tool. We did the levels. Now we can go back and save Adam West. But it's probably bedtime. Yeah, it's bed and zoo time. Look at all them Lego pieces. I'm rich in Legos. I'm a Lego gazillionaire. Or 100,000-aire, which, I mean, feels kind of about the same. For now. In 51% completion. Adam West in peril. No mini kits. I didn't know I could do anything with those. Oh, we did get some. I don't know what I did for that. We unlocked Alfred. What about everyone we just saw in the cutscene? Why wouldn't they unlock? 2 out of 250 gold pieces. Sheesh. They call those pieces studs. You could be swimming in studs. Oh, that's intimidating.
Our sensor array was malfunctioning. Scanning the object now.
That's very intimidating. I'm suddenly shy. They definitely gave him a black cape there. It's not even forest green. It matches Batman and it matches Alfred. But they're matte. Alfred is shiny. I got no leverage. I'm gonna have fun saying that next time I got myself into some Serena trouble with something. Got no leverage. That would have been a helpful statement for this build. My adult Legos. A porthole. A porthole.
You ever been to outer space, Granny?
Does everyone dislike Green Lantern in this universe too? I guess so.
The object does come from outside the solar system. Your computations were correct, Cape Crusader.
I mean, as far as villains go, he really is on the more pompous asshole side versus just self-righteous and
It seems the fault lies
matter of fact.
you cannot fix it from here.
He's not a very mature villain.
Persistence.
Kind of still acts like a teenager. I'm assuming since we finished the level that it's saved somewhere. Alert! 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 Oh, this is intimidating to come back to. Oh, I'm the bad guys now. Ah. 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 Of all of these statues, the Batman one looks the weirdest. It doesn't look right. It looks funny. A Martian Manhunter? Did I say bad guys? I meant wrong guys. We're not Batman anymore. It's not canon. Therefore we must quit, but my brain must collect all of the shiny things before we quit. I meant to say wrong guys. I think I misspoke. I miss bitching about Robin. Woo. Oh, he has the weird vision too. Okay. No more of that. Alert! 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 It's time to feed the zoo and get ready for Serena Day tomorrow. Bless you. Leaky sneezy? That was a pretty average sneeze. Lies and slander. Yeah, it's not like with Batman if you can't play as Batman. I want my money back. It was free. Kind of. It's on PS Plus. I still want a refund. It's not fair. Lies and slander. Slander and lies. Slander and lies. I think tomorrow will be a good Serena day. There will be a sense of accomplishment. I hope. There's a lot on my to-do list. Like around the house. And a couple of appointments. I gotta get groceries. It's gonna be a bit tiresome. And by a bit tiresome, I mean a lot tiresome. But as long as I can get most of everything done, I will feel a vast sense of accomplishment. Yeah, Thursday is Thanksgiving. I keep forgetting about that. I'll probably be strimming. I don't have anything else to do. Unless I don't get everything accomplished tomorrow, and then I'll probably take it for a bonus Serena day. I don't know. I hope you... Zoo's giving... They're giving wildness. Good night, PlayStation. You were very good to us tonight. Very good to us. I hope you guys all have a wonderful Thanksgiving too. Eat all the good food. Have some yummy mashed potatoes for me. That's hype. Woo! Enjoy family time. Express your gratitudes. I keep forgetting Thursday is Thanksgiving. I'm just blaming my calendar because my calendar is handwritten and it doesn't come with the holidays plugged into it. So unless I write it down, I don't know what it is. I wrote down my birthday this month. I don't think I wrote down Thanksgiving. So I have learned. Don't forget to save some turkey for the zoo, everybody. It's one thing I miss about my dad making Thanksgiving turkeys. There's all good stuff for the buddies. They love turkey. Get them some deli sliced turkey. But it's not the same, but they probably like it more because it's all salty and unhealthy. Thank you all for a wonderful night. Thank you for your chats. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your moral support and help building all of this together. I appreciate it very much, and hopefully it will keep with its intended purpose. Let's cross fingers and paws. Cross fingers and paws. Thank you all for your time more than anything. Your time is very valuable. And I appreciate it very much. Free time is such a finite resource. And when you guys are able to stop by, even just to say hi, it is an honor. And if I don't see you again for I'm very tired apparently. I'm losing my spiel here. Whether I see you again in 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 months, or 2 years, when our times collide, it is beautiful, magical, amazing, and wonderful. And I appreciate it oh so mucho. You wonderful babies! If you guys want to keep up with me offline, hop into the Disky Boo. Otherwise, we got the fun stuff. And socials. Some more fun stuff. The schedule for when I will see you bebs next. Roughly-ish, based on my previous thoughts. I don't feel well at the moment. We're brain blurping. Where's my zoo buttons? There's my zoo buttons! And thank you all for being a part of No Nuts November. It means the world to me. And thank you all for your incredible, magical, amazing, absolutely phenomenal support. Do not forget that you are absolutely incredible human beings. You are oh so gorgeous. You are oh so fantastical. You are oh so phenomenal. Take all those compliments and put them in your back pocket, your side pocket, your cute little hoodie pocket, your adorable little shirt pocket, floating suspended animation, wherever it needs to go until I see you next, you sweet bubbos. Have a beautiful, beautiful Serena day. A wonderful hump day tomorrow. And a beautiful turkey day. Eat some good stuff. Enjoy some time with family. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their night. Get some good eeps. Get some good eats. And I shall catch you all for the next one. Thank you for a wonderful night. Oh, I feel for you, man, Topher. That's not fair. That's not fair. But still, it is a testament to your greatness. You're able to swing by for a moment. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you all, Club Cult. You're the most wonderful human beings to ever exist, and don't you ever forget that. Get some good sleepy dreamies tonight, and I shall catch you on the flip side.
We only get one life like this.